My gamers, howdy. Okay, Sunday evening initiated, now loading bounty hunters. So for the upcoming 3 hours, we're gonna be settling the 7 show matches shown here on the screen currently. No skill level restrictions to participate, but skill-based matchmaking applies still, as you may have come to know for our humble weekly event. The name of the game is, of course, Guilty Gear Strive, and the format is first to 7 wins. I'm also your usual host, QK, and now let's get this party started. So starting the show tonight is gonna be our little event specialty, the random match challenge, although only 1 player is gonna be randoming tonight. The character lock will be our sole newcomer of the evening, I believe, making their debut tonight on Bounty Hunter's Putnik Sol. And Spooky, of course, has been running random select quite a bit so far, here and there across the events. This match can be happening in the rookie skill level bracket, as we usually move from rookie to advanced as we go down the the event card. Although, contrary to that rule, moving into slot 2 match here tonight, we turn up the heat quite a bit, as this will be one of our top seed matches of the evening. But played out of order because of scheduling restrictions. Aatreus, representing the Anji gang as per usual, has pretty much always been, and Brisa, Milia, being the slightly newer addition to our Bounty Hunters roster. Now, Brisa had a real tough first match on Bounty Hunters, if I recall correctly, and I reckon this would be another quite tough challenge, since it sort of falls into a sort of precarious point in the advanced skill bracket, where it's like if you were slightly higher, then there's a really high concentration of active players. But, you know, the bigger the challenge, the bigger the triumph at the end of the day, if you manage to slay them, or so they say. Moving into the 3rd slot, we've got one of our Finnish guys who's been rocking their sub-characters as of recently. We've also had Raigand playing Sin, but also Hoplan, one of our go-to Nagori Yuki players in Finland. I'm gonna be facing SavesHaven tonight in an interesting match an interesting match of footsies, I want to say, in this one, but we can talk more about that when the time comes. Moving forward, it's going to be a Sweden versus Finland face-off. Kuro and Ruby, 2 players who have been really strong in their respective skill brackets. I think generally, I think they both lost some matches, but generally, as my memory serves, they've been really strong in most of their games. So it's going to be super interesting to see who's going to triumph in this one. The raw power of May, or the... I guess Happy Chaos has a lot of raw power as well, but slightly in a slightly different way, slightly more set play and perhaps mix-up oriented character, but certainly the firepower is there for Happy Chaos as well. Then an interesting one, speaking of those Finnish players who have been rocking different characters recently, ZoKHiZ Biken in a Biken mirror versus, I believe it's the birthday boy BlackRaven tonight. So the story of this match would somewhat go that ZoKHiZ is the more advanced player, or rather the more experienced player in general, but on slightly different characters. Now playing Biken for only I think couple of weeks, something of the sort. Where BlackRaven has, maybe played fighting games a little bit less, but has been playing Biken for a very long time. So it's an interesting kind of crossroads kind of a situation if we can catch ZoKHiZ in that transitional moment where we can actually match him against slightly like lower skill rank player, because like these guys who, you know, have taken upon themselves to pick up new sub-characters such as like ZoKHiZ, Hoplan, Rygend, they're developing really fast, and it's only a matter of time before, you know, they have to be moved to their respective skill brackets where their main characters reside. And then of course we're gonna finish the evening with a double Brisa versus Jacko matchup. It's gonna be Munch versus Talla first, and then Decoy versus Whammel. In a matchup that I feel like I've casted a lot recently, although I think it's slightly, I think my memory betrays me to a certain extent. We've been casting a lot of Jacko and Bridget individually. Those are like relatively, I guess, I don't want to say popular. I guess Bridget is popular, right? But, you know, Jacko, one of those characters who has a very tightly knit group of those core players who just, you know, participate a lot. But now, since we are going to be playing a random match for the first one, we should probably start revving this one up. So Putnik versus Spooky. And I believe Spooky has requested the type of random tonight to be that we remove duplicates from the random pool. So that means if we random into a particular character, that character will not occur again for the rest of the set. So you're not gonna get Soul 3 times in a row, for instance. So let's start by randoming the character for Spooky. Let me fix my thingies. This will require a little bit of stuff. We of course have our usual skill power bracket on the top side of the screen, which will kind of indicate Spooky's self-evaluation for how strong that particular character is within the confines of their own character pool. Right, so let's remove this one from the pool. Nagoriyuki would be the pick in the rather confident tier, so we're starting pretty strong. Of course, Spooky has a pretty decent split of characters, very decent amount of characters, especially in the toppest tier bracket. Now, this doesn't necessarily mean that you're just absolutely strong with those characters. Of course, you are always performing in your own skill tier. So, for example, you know, you still have your innate skill level, and your character will not. None of your characters will magically exceed that. But using that as sort of a reference, we can kind of feel like we usually try to match same skill level players against one another. So randoming into the top tier characters in you know, Spooky skill tier should be pretty good indication, should be an advantage for sure. A little bit of a juggle there to start out with. Spooky returning with Bloodburn. Of course, that Clone Fukio, extremely strong kind of a neutral skip tool, usually gets you there even from half screen away, but costs quite a lot of blood. You can only do that so many times. Fire DP is the answer here, but equivalent option played by Spooky. This is also going to fix the blood situation quite a bit, as blood comes back from that super on hit pretty fast, waiting for another DP. But however, maybe smartly waiting it out this time, and Pokey's. I was a little worried, like who actually had the last hit, but Putnik did have a considerable life disadvantage. Started with a Soul 5 heavy, interesting round start button there, getting cleaved by the White Wild Assault. DP 1-2 knockdown. Didn't get the cleanest of Okies there. Hit the button a little too early from that instant air dash. And another problem is that even if you are fairly spaced from that jump in, Nagoriyuki does have that grappler normal throw range, so even if you're trying to space yourself rather far away, this one should be good, because that is a counter hit and that gives you a decent amount of extra frame advantage. And that will put one game up on this first one. I think I forgot to put this on single game mode, so let's fix that on the way. Let's take the rematch off and then start rolling a character for the next one for Spooky. And we will be landing on Dizzy this time. Very different kind of character here. Let's see where Dizzy is at the very bottom of the list. So this is one of the new DLC characters, you know, among, or rather with Venom. And yeah, probably understandable that you don't have a lot of experience. Like, you can only have time for so many characters, and some of those you'll kind of have to miss. So this would be the biggest miss for Spooky. But since we are removing those characters from the pool, it's you can kind of look at it as getting it out of the way now, and then it's never gonna occur again. Putnik started with a very decent combo, and because Dizzy is a lighter kind of characters, much lower defense modifier than many, is gonna be taking a lot of damage from especially characters like Mr. Bad Guy. That's a good trade from the Vortex, and we have even a meter to bring it to the wall. Got the combo, but happy little accidents, as the sages say. I think, did Spooky press a button? No! But do we have the punish? Yes, indeed. Blue Wild Assault is the option here. Finding a close slash, yeah, even if you don't know the combo routes necessarily, taking a close slash from just about any character is gonna be like decent amount of damage you can expect to take here. Like, even close slash into 5 heavy into a random special move is gonna hurt quite a bit without any, whatchamacallit, any proration. Because close slash is one of the only universal buttons in the game that just does not have any proration at all. Oh, that's a great read. However, the downside for Wild Throw is that you do throw your opponent out of the corner. Albeit does not matter if you end up spending 50 meter on that, and that should be a successful hit confirm. Put 2 games up. But like we said, that Dizzy is gonna be gone for now, and should be getting slightly stronger prospects in the future. Looks like Abba will be the next one. Oh, what? There's my... I think my thingy doesn't work. Okay, let's do it like this then. All right, we'll do it manually then, if Discord doesn't want to cooperate. And Abba is... let's see if I can spot it quickly. He's in the mid? No. Am I blind? Am I actually blind?
So instead of reflecting on
No, it is in the mid tier. All right, so there we have it. It's gonna be somewhere in between the first and the second random here. Although Abba is an interesting character, requires a little bit of execution in terms of not necessarily like technical execution, but knowledge of combo routes so that you can flow with your install state as well as possible. Although you could say that like even single hits are gonna hit quite a bit if you are in that install state. Now, good use for the burst for Putnik. Very kind of same sort of philosophy as you would burst Nago to Yuki. Try to burst when Nago is high plot. Same for Abba. Try to burst when Abba is just about to go bust, and you can force her into this state where she has to go back to neutral and try to build that jelly back. And believe it or not, it's gonna be rather difficult. Require at least a couple of interactions. That is definitely an interaction and a half. However, swing straight into the Tyrant Rave, which is gonna be doing even more damage than the reversal DP. It's actually a pretty decent choice in that situation. If you can recognize that your reversal DP would not kill, but your super would, that might be one consideration for you to use the super instead of the meterless reversal. But now only a little bit of jelly left on Spooky's gauge. Can we get a refund? Seems like it's gonna be impossible, and immediately goes into the vortex and corner combo reversal super. That would be so sweet to get, and good knowledge on Putnik's side. Knows that reversal super will hit multiple times. You can kind of swing in between the hits if you want to, but you don't have to. You don't have to take the risk if you don't want to. Here's the reversal super though. That's gonna put Putnik through the wall, but more importantly for Spooky, put you in install. It's not a safe jump, apparently drifts straight into the throw, and Spooky, signs of life here. getting, I think that was one of the first rounds that we have been able to get with this powerhouse of a character, installing immediately from the bursts. Putnik being very, very tricky. Going into first the Bandit Bringer, and then, that's gonna be minus, but the classic Soul Bad Guy RPS, B minus off a special move, still do DP. It is always my turn. Say the Soul players. The last pixel left for Spooky, and most importantly, no jelly left. Ah, the Rekka sequence gets interrupted. We do have only just a little bit of jelly left, but it's gonna take a little bit of peace and quiet in order to be able to sort of install without interruption. And Put, not gonna give that freedom of changing your state to, Spooky for free. There's a lot of actually good matchup knowledge there for Putnik for that one. Next random is gonna be Biken, it looks like. Which is in the top tier bracket. So definitely after this slightly shaky start of an FT7, we're finally returning back to the more confident tier of characters. And this would be a decent time potentially to open up the score account for Spooky. But let's see how it's gonna go. It is only FT1 for every single random character counter hit, but with that burst, we'll be able to get 2 flies with 1 swat. Not only put Putnik in the corner, but also save yourself from the /counter hit of Soul Bad Guy, which is gonna occur again here. Saving grace for Spooky here is that the wall has taken some damage and is gonna be breaking briefly, but you're still lost so much of your health. Goes for the reversal parry, however, Putnik again on the same RPS layer. Unfortunately, jump heavy hits multiple times, so ends up taking the wall break. But you're still put in such a difficult situation, having like 0 life to spend against Soul. Starting with the jump slash. It's interesting, the jump was actually recovered airborne. Kind of like a TK jump slash on the way up, and then jump plus on the way down. A lot of good stuff actually comes from Biken's S buttons. Jump slashes, the Yozanzens, some of your core stuff. To dodge the Bandit, but falls straight into the far slash, following it up with a big counter hit, big reversal parry. Both players using the big RPS options back to back. But Shield will push Fafnir far away, but Putnik just seems to be on the chase. Just like that, so fast. The 6 heavy will be parried again. That is a big reward out of that reversal. Even more damage than generally your meterless DPs would be. Sort of like around the same amount of damage as you would get from like Soul Wild Throw. So it's a very considerable amount of damage that you can score from that. Ooh, nice snipe there. Waiting for the landing animation and far slash. Sniping it with a counter hit. That's gonna be half of your life or even more. As we've known to expect from this character, Soul. Nice, again, waits for the landing, doesn't have to risk it. And the big Soul damage, being very, very consistent with these combos, even though this is a Season 4 Soul, which has been arguably, how should we put it, a little harder in the combo department than the previous iterations, as far as I've understood. All right, going into the next one with Bridget. Where would that be? On the power charge, it is on the bottom side of the spread. So it's been the spread has been fairly even for Spooky so far. Has had, I think, 2 characters from the top tier, 1 character from the mid, and 2 characters from the bottom.
Mankind. Duel 1.
Now heading into the next one. We're gonna do it with slightly weaker character this time. Let's see if Bridget is one of those characters who requires at least a little bit of sort of base execution when, in order to sort of keep your game flowing, when you get those hits so that you can knock the opponent down, get your set play going. And set play especially is what Bridget tends to thrive on. Starting with the 6B works out, but again, if you don't have the combo execution down, you might not get the Oki of your dreams, even if you score a straight hit. And Bridget, because she doesn't score that much damage compared to like many other characters in the game, you have to be very good with the execution so that you can get the rewards, the actual rewards, which are usually the solid knockdowns. But yeah, considering it's the bottom scale of the power tiers, will go down again. Putnik with a really massive lead here to start this out with. If there was ever a time to pray for another good raw, it would be this one. Let's see. Oh, is that gonna be bad, man? I have a feeling that might not be at the top end of the scale. Yeah, it's somewhere in the mid tier, but like not in the very strong category. Understandably, because Bedman is also, just like Bridget, a lot about that set play, a lot about knowing the combo routes and how to get to your victory conditions. And the victory conditions are even more convoluted for Bedman, I would argue, than Bridget. For Bridget, you just gotta hit the opponent and know the routes. For Bedman, you gotta interact with his unique mechanic, which is the error system. You use a special move, and then you get an auto-firing special move that hopefully you can utilize for your looping pressure, just like this. And I think Spooky does seem like they know like which errors are the big money ones, so I saw Spooky trying to sort of, even with a special move at full screen, in order to start that error prematurely. So if your opponent does not engage you, ooh, that's a big counter hit though. We have 100 as well. Not being able to convert into it. With the momentum burst, ooh, this could be good. However, Spooky does have to clear this reversal situation, and because this was a 100-meter reversal situation, there really is no counterplay, is there? Because you can just fire the super, the input super, and then use PRC if it is blocked or even if it whiffs. So very hard kind of situation to play against. Ooh, getting a little bit of a reset here. Not going through the wall, but still getting a favorable air-to-ground situation. Putnik has been able to break out of the corner though, and with the 75-meter, soon to be 100, looks like it's gonna be kind of dangerous. YRC to break out of the Beyblade. Does nullify the error, but with a reversal super of their own, Spooky ending the round the same way that Put did earlier. Starting with a 6P once again. That's been a very common sort of nominator here between many of the characters that Spooky has been playing, and it is a universal tool. If your opponent is going to be poking with like a standing poke, 6P should take care of it. Ooh, nice patience there, waiting for the DP. Burst comes out as well, but does not get the biggest of punishes. I think the jump in was that a punish? I blinked and I missed it. But Spooky is definitely in an advantage position here. Got the hit and got the first round with a character that is not the highest in the tier list either, as far as the personal power tiers go. So really important fun for Spooky to get in at this point. We're starting to reach the higher numbers for the opponent's scores. Next one would be, is it Ramathol? Is it Sin? Very close. It's gonna be Ram for this one. And Ram is it, where is she? She's around, I am blind. It's in the mid power, or around the mid of the tier list of the power characters. That is a mouthful. I'm saying power, tiers. Anyway, basically the same position as the Bedman earlier. So, you know, why not? Why would it not be able to happen again? If Spooky can get a win on such a tricky character as Bedman, should be able to do it with Baiken as well. Baiken has a lot of the same sort of aspects that you do have a lot of set play, but slightly less setup oriented. As long as you know, do knock your opponent down in some sort of way, you have your swords ready to go, you should be able to pull through with the dangerous pressure. Where hit confirming quick, and it actually works out. This is, after all, the more damaging super of the two. I mean, I guess Mortal Battle also does pretty decent amount of damage when both of your swords are present, but generally the Calvados has been considered the big heavy hitter, the big finisher of the two, which I think you can't even use that super nowadays if your swords are missing. So the massive damage is sort of justified. Sword of justified. Ha! That is a pun and a half. Good jump over the gun flame. And now we're getting to the meat and bones of. Ooh, unfortunately, throws the wrong sword here. Gotta distinguish between the S sword and the heavy sword. A little too early on the two heavy Gatling, considering the opponent was airborne, and Spooky did catch them with the big counter hit juggle. Rekka 1 on block. I forgot how minus that is on modern patches, but maybe punishable. Or sorry, that's not Rekka. That's Dauro. Shield was to get some value, but Spooky tried to poke with a far slash in the follow-up situation, which will be low profiled by the Vortex. Now next hit will be very crucial. That could have potentially been RC'd. And here come the RCs. We have more where that came from. Minus. Ooh, went for the PRC a little too early. Now there's a chance. 0 life for Spooky. Has to play out of his mind. Can he do it? Lock the opponent down. Guard crush. But wasn't able to hit confirm, unfortunately. Soul gets out. Soul gets the input stuff. And it is the DP that comes out immediately. Now once again, praying to the gods. Give me something good. Getting to those rounds that, or rather the matches that could decide it all. Going to Potemkin. Potemkin, a very... I want to say there's some history in Bounty Hunters random select matches and Potemkin. We've had some last minute deciding matches on this character. I think this, Potemkin would be very high on the list of Spookies. So, if there is one character that can do it, it should be this one, other than just going straight into, one of Spooky's main characters. I'm not even sure what Spooky's main is currently. I know that they've been playing quite a bit of Johnny and Slayer at least. Fist forward, use the RC, keep up the pressure, the second Mega Fist hits, and we're a little far away from the opponent, so the far slash doesn't convert as big as it could otherwise. Potemkin, of course, is that character who, if you are not in... Ooh, nice. Snipe out of the air. If you are not in, like, close slash range, or rather, if you're not in buster range, you're not probably gonna do too much damage. Like, especially mid-screen, and especially without spending meter either. Speaking of that buster, Putnik reads it out. Oh, again, the minus frame, RPS into DP. We got that stab, YRC, straight into buster. That is plus 10. So we'll technically give you a relatively clean strike throw situation. It is a guard crush after all, with YRC, so it's very similar to your Garuda Oki. And that should... Ooh, misses the super input there. But now going into this screen, Putnik could do so many different things. The RC is gonna be bound to come out sooner or later. Slowing down the range with the poop. Oh my god, you really did that? This time with the super, not even the SDP, just straight up super. But I mean, the sort of, whatchamacallit, the reward was infinite. You would have gone through the wall, and I mean, the opponent was pretty low anyway. You drop them without getting the wall break. Minus frames again goes under because the opponent chose a standing poke. Is there gonna be a kill? Able to churn out the right Tyrant Raven, even with the defensive modifier of the big boys. No chance to survive here against Putnik. Gonna be cleaving the first set rather in a quick manner. It is so bad guy after all, and many of the crucial pieces do fall in place for Putnik in his entry match on Bounty Hunters. But I want to think that the sole victory that Spooky got was quite an interesting one, able to get that win on no character other than Bedman as well. We've had quite a bit of Bedman on Bounty Hunters as of recently, and the Bedman players have been doing fairly good, even though Bedman not considered the not even close to the strongest of the characters in the current actual well, should I say objective? Not objective is probably not the good, like the best word, but in the perceived ultimate tier list between the characters. Anyway, moving into the next match, we've got a big heavy hitter coming. As we recognized earlier, this could potentially be the top seed match of the evening. But we're playing it at this point of the event because of scheduling stuff. And Brisa coming rather fresh out of their DB match on Bounty Hunters, which they did, if I recall correctly, unfortunately did lose. It was a really tough matchup though. This would be another one of those. Aatreus is definitely not a slouch. And in addition to that, this matchup, Anji, is, how should I put it? If you don't know how to play the Anji matchup, it probably doesn't matter who you are. It doesn't even matter if you're maybe theoretically a better player than the Anji player. You are gonna get so bamboozled in this matchup if you don't understand sort of the dynamic. And the big question here is, I mean, I guess Milia is not your most traditional, like, neutral poker either. We've had a lot of pairings where Anji players have been playing against the perceived stronger neutral characters, such as, you know, matchups such as Anji versus Kai, Anji versus Sin, Anji versus Ram, Anji versus just a better poke, Anji versus Nago. Very classic example, but this is going to be very different this time. Anji versus Milia. Milia, a character who doesn't necessarily, like, she has good pokes, but her forte is her mobility for sure. So instead of just sort of boasting with the standard, I press this button and control a lot of space, she tries to place herself in positions where it's really hard to catch her, such as like using her multiple air dashes, coming in from behind, using that jump heavy that hits everywhere on the screen, stuff like that. So it's gonna be also slightly different kind of matchup for Anji to play, as you're trying to sort of predict when is the strike gonna come from. I mean, if you're playing against a better poker, such as like Anji versus Nago, you know that the far slash is coming, you know that the 5 heavy is gonna be coming, you know that the 2S is gonna be coming eventually, because the stronger neutral character wants to keep you at an arm's length. But when and where is the poke gonna come from against this character? It could come from the front, it could come from the back. Maybe you wanna be, maybe you actually wanna be the one who initiates, goes in and tries to find those far slashes. I gotta be honest, I don't think I've seen this matchup many times, or how it's gonna be played. It's gonna be a surprise here, and who better to sort of put that showcase on the table other than Aatreus and Brisa, who are some of the highest tier characters, representatives of these characters on Bounty Hunters. We're gonna go straight into that jump slash. Of course, if you want horizontal range, horizontal control for Milia, jump slash is your go-to buttons. Reaches so far away, and on counter hit, oh boy, you're going for a ride. Finding a hit here. And so close to that. Or actually, no, never mind. That was Aatreus' speeder. Ha! Looking at the wrong one. But Brisa does get the... Oh, wait, would that have crossed up? No way, right? No way. Bad Moon doesn't cross up right. I'm not crazy, am I? That looked like it would have hit there. I wonder if Aatreus did not use that YRC, would that actually have clipped Anji? I guess we shall never know. The mystery will never be revealed. Ooh, that was so tricky, using at the very last moment the turbo fall to steal the corner. However, because Aatreus was able to proc successfully in that situation, we'll now have Milia in the corner instead. Ooh, being tricky. Milia is not the only character who can do some shenanigans in the air. However, Brisa ready to block that burst, and then mix-up time. That an overhead even going into the low, and that should be enough, right? Yeah, Milia has decently long lasting combos in the air, so can deal decent amount of damage from those air exchanges. Also, let's put the room in rematch because we have finished our random match. That would be first win for our Milia player. And then heading back in. Yeah, I'm already sensing the kind of... Like, I wonder if Anji players are gonna feel the same kind of thing. It's like, it's so much easier to play against somebody who you know is gonna be poking at you at neutral. But Milia is such a wild card. It's like not knowing where the strike is gonna come from, you kinda can't rely on your signature move that much, which is the Suigetsu no Hakobi, aka the spin. Speaking of the spin though, if the opponent is grounded, they are subject to your special move. That was actually a very good preemptive 6-speed. Very rare that many characters have a 6-speed that reaches so far up in the air that you can even imagine to try to catch Milia from those air sequences. Alright, able to block successfully. The cross up. Oh, Kuro is gonna hit as a counter hit. Big damage incoming. We have the 50-meter to cash out as well. We'll do so from the Kara Super. Is that a kill? I think that's a kill. Yeah, even though Issei Ogi not even close to one of the heavier hitter supers in the game, dealing damage on this character, Milia, is probably the second easiest thing in the... I guess third easiest thing in the game after Chip Sanef and Mana Broken Asuka. Takes a lot of damage. Ooh, drop out of the corner. We'll be able to evade the core this time. Super important to do so. One core could basically be half of your life or even more and put you in a guess for your life kind of situation. Gonna go to the other side. The lows have been the go-to tool for Brisa, and they've been landing pretty well. It's gonna be a burst. Aatreus didn't necessarily have to go for it, but decided to because there was so much tension to be burned. So Aatreus was basically saying, all right, I'll make you block once and you're not gonna survive the onslaught after that. The problem was you still have to find that sequence, that thing on block that you can then enforce and spend your meter on. But no reason to worry about that going into the overhead. And luckily, even though the overhead doesn't convert anymore for Anji, where, ooh, good reach from Brisa. Oh, the double jump matches the jump height perfectly. That is so beautiful. That's not a simple just, you know, super jump after then an air throw. You're gonna have to do a little bit more against Milia and her, you know, her multitude of different kind of ways to modify her momentum in the air. Very nice. I think that was a double jump as well. So the way that you would gain as much altitude as possible on the opponent. In those situations where you're trying to catch the opponent jumping out of the corner, generally you kind of have to match their jump height. So if they go super jump, you would have to go super jump or double jump. If they go double jump, you usually strictly have to go double jump as well. And then of course there's a little bit of timing RPS when and if the opponent will try to air dash out of the corner. Speaking of those double jumps, Brisa trying to be very tricky and modifying the sort of mixing up the timing with which he jumps in. If they get the corner, that's so tricky. Start it with the jump heavy, then go into the, what's it called, the Rose air special move. Setting up, ooh, but that was a situation where Brisa basically had to meaty with Milia's main body, what we call in the industry non-meaty disc, where if you want to keep your opponent steady in the mix-up, you would have to perform a meaty of your own, which is going to be vulnerable to reversals such as DP's or Anji's parry super. With punishing with the use of those double air dashes, but here comes Aatreus with a corner carry. We're not quite at the threshold where we have tension to just burn Brisa's hell, or I mean, at this point, if you get a 5 heavy counter hit on a pixie character like Milia, maybe you don't even need the meter anymore. 5 heavy is, I think, almost as good of a starter as a close slash. It's definitely one of the party starters for Anji that is gonna be gonna score a ton of damage if you manage to land that. I mean, generally a lot of hits for Anji are gonna be hitting fairly hard on the opponent. Definitely like even though Anji not necessarily mentioned when we talk. Oh, interesting timing on the gold burst, gets the positive bonus, so that's gonna be at least 75 meter coming in for Aatreus. Gets clipped by the 2D, and then mix up time. 2D is one of those tools that will get you the meaty disc, the good ass disc. I think the most reliable ways of scoring that are to knock the opponent down with a 2D or Milia's throw. Ooh, that was an interesting whip punish there with the 2S, and then following up. Brisa does have technically all these life left to go. Only half left after that combo though. Trying to poke with the S disc and then be very tricky with the air movement. Are we gonna challenge? No, not challenging on the call. That is, I feel like, kinda smart. Even though if you are right below Anji, Milia would be one of those characters who can close slash, and because her close slash hits so damn high up in the air, you should be able to close slash Anji out of a missed call. But if there's any uncertainty that you might miss your timing, maybe it's better to just back off out of that situation and not force it. Again, the 6-speed goes into the wrong direction, being very tricky with all of these cross-ups. Gold burst is the tool to get out of there, so Aatreus is gonna have a ton of meter to work with if he gets out of this. Steal the corner. YRC is successful. Brisa will go for the same as well. Cross up. What is that? It's so hard to see because it happens so fast. I think that's a mirage into an immediate Artemis. So you kind of command dash through the character, then cancel into the Artemis. It's gonna hop you to the other side again and keep you sort of, I'm actually not sure if it keeps you guaranteed unpunishable to throw. Technically, if you cancel your pressure to Mirage and let it rock, of course, the opponent could react and punish you with a throw before it's over. That's 6-speed. 6-speed to the other direction. Classic Guilty Gear anti-airs, am I right? With the overhead, another one, third one, but had the meter this time to continue the pressure. And those single rins do matter quite a bit, hitting even harder than a normal throw, I reckon. The throw, throwing into... Oh, this actually managed to hit there. So if you are not committing to the meaty per se, or if you are sort of out of reach that time, you still have a chance to sort of survive the onslaught that comes out of the reversal parry. Got the 2K, but not the follow-up. Brisa is working with full burst. Now, ooh, that's gonna be the standard RPS. Striking into the Suigetsu no Hakobi. Didn't get punished too badly there. And the 2D, the space 2D is once again the tool that is keeping Aatreus out. Gotta be very careful here. I mean, because we are a pixie character, maybe it doesn't matter that much. If we were to get a hit here, even with a decent amount of health, we would just die. So it's business as usual for Milia. And gets caught by Nagiha. The Hujin follow-up that is, I guess, the bigger suspect for dealing damage. Oh, the call goes into the wrong direction, so no follow-up that time around. Brisa getting out of jail, not exactly for free, but rather free of charge until you got clipped. Oh, again, the combo just goes into the wrong direction. It is bound to happen when your opponent is a character that keeps just blazing around and getting clipped in very strange positions. I mean, especially because of that multiple air dash, you might be, at one point, you might be in position X, but then a couple of frames later, you might just be in a completely different position on the map. And even if your anti-air, for example, the call started when your opponent was like straight in front of you, the actual hit might happen when they are like completely opposite side of the screen at that point. Tried to go for the far slash, I reckon. Sorry, the close slash. The close slash is what Brisa wanted there from that anti-air situation, but alas, you have to be close enough to get it activated. That is kind of the downside of if you want to anti-air with that button. Gotta be in the activation range, as they say. Ooh, the Nagi actually catches, I think it was the startup of a hair car or something similar. Brisa committing very hard, running in, which you know, you do have the buttons to follow up very aggressive dashes like that, but you don't have the life. Slides right into the 2D, which will allow Aatreus to start the pressure and at least force one mix-up, if not even more, if you have meter to go. Ooh, the jump K, very active, catches Milia coming down from that jump angle. Soft knockdown, still 60% of life gone from Brisa. Ooh, that's very great. The jump K is a great air-to-air button and recovers very fast as well. It's one of those buttons that we call, you know, has the frame data of a jump P, but the convertibility of a jump slash. This time, Aatreus won't fall for the tricks, but the second time from that distance, it's a little bit more tricky with the Artemis. Hopping to the other side. Now, these kind of things, like when you reset your combo into like instant air dash jump heavy, are a little hard to deal with, but you do give away a lot of your combo damage if you choose to play resets like that. So the downside is that you still you have to land a lot of hits. Granted, those hits that you are gonna be landing are very tricky to defend against. Speaking of defense, Brisa blocking not one, not two, but three mix-ups here. Eventually, though, this is a Guilty Gear game. Eventually, you're gonna have to bow if you block too much. Guilty Gear is known for the relentless pressure, and generally, if possible, you want to get out of there as fast as possible in order to, you know, try to get to the aggressive position yourself and not just take the mix-ups, take the pressure resets, and most importantly, let the opponent build risk on you. Heaven forbid, if they get a hit with even a little bit of risk available, that's gonna crank up the damage so much, finding a 2K 2D from that aggressive dash, forcing Aatreus to burst very early into the set. Now, try to go for the 6P, but the tricky momentum-changing special moves of Milia, making it very tricky to choose your timing right. Walks here so far, RC to make the pressure go on. With the meaty disc as well. Another one to the other side. Is that gonna be enough? We have 50 meter ready to go. Should be RC, doesn't even have to go for the multiple hits of the Bad Moon. Very nice special move for Guts Crush kind of situation. Usually you want special moves that hit multiple times, as many times as possible. The corner steal will actually turn that into a throw to be into more pressure without disc. Very kind of dangerous proposition, but sometimes you might have to go for it. As ooh, dancing straight into, so we get to Nahakobi, using the fish and knocking down momentarily. No player has, I was about to say no player has scored any successful decisive combos, but I think this could be considered a decisive one until Aatreus dropped it. Had a 50 meter or even 75 meter to go with that. And now Brisa still has a chance. Frame trapping into the last shaker. Is that, yeah, still gonna get Mirara there for the hard knockdown and finding a 2S counter hit with the 50 meter. That should be a kill. Aatreus is a very dangerous player who, once you get the hits, he's very good at converting into basically maximum damage and dropping combos very, not very often, should we put it. Ooh, the late air backdash overhead straight into a wall break was a little far or very, very close to getting that hard knockdown from that 50 meter. Now Brisa. Are we safe? We are safe! Not even safe, but we're also gonna get a close last starter. That was a perfect timing in terms of how Brisa played the Oki there. Of course, on a very Okizeme heavy character like Milia, you better have those setups that can beat the opponents. Oh, this is a good burst. Look at this. The super gonna die. Oh, gonna have to play sort of block the tail end of the super, but still in a rather neutral situation after all is said and done. And this could be very close to finishing. Anji though, very high defensive modifier unlike Milia. Tried to go for the cross-up. Oh, and then going with the classic, because we have a 50 meter, tap them with the dust, make them guess on the 20 frame overhead, or maybe react if you are able to. But if not, you better guess for it when you see your opponent has 50, or if your life is so low that they don't even need the 50, they can just tap you with that D. better stand up if you think the overhead is coming. Started with the close slash, basics even. Ooh, there we go. There's the feature. There's the high-reaching close slash range that we've been talking about from Milia. That we've been theorizing that would be fairly good on those missed cores. But unfortunately, Brisa hasn't really been on sort of required spacings to get those out. It was a great jump out of the non-meaty disc. And now, Aatreus ready to start the stealing. Starting it with a low follow-up. Nagiha into a big combo. We still have 50 to go. We're gonna have to block some mix-ups here unless Brisa decides to burn that meter. As you should. If you get locked down on a positive bonus loop, you have to spend those resources. If you don't have the 100 for like a reversal super PRC, you have to do something. YRC, deflect shield, blue burst, something has to happen. Because like generally when you give the opponent a hard knockdown positive bonus loop, they're not gonna let you go. It's usually over from that point on. If you just try to defend with your sort of organic tools. The active frames of that parry super extend for so long. Brisa shoving himself into it. To the other side we go. Back to neutral. Unless we want to force it, go with the air dashes. Go forward, be brave. Fly through the butterfly as well. And here we go with the left-right mix-ups. Scoring the hit. We have the 50 as well. Chooses the reset into a low. Definitely. Ooh, no super. Okay. But that means we can use the super on the next screen. Or rather the RC on the next screen. Able to get a very tricky situation. It was super hard to actually see what was going on. But stuff definitely happened there. Maybe, is that even better? Like, I guess you would have to usually say that spending the super there for the hard knockdown should be like one of the best things that you can do. But the equation gets a little tricky to evaluate sometimes. Oh. The charge Fujins, look at that risk gauge. Catching it out of the air with the last shaker, Miki. Plus, however, go! And then a big counter hit close slash. There is no way to survive that. Have to burst that. There was a little bit of risk still left on Brisa's gauge as well. So that would have, I think that would have been a TOD. As is not gonna be this one. Very close though, putting Brisa at basically 0 hit points afterwards, and will be cleared by Nagiha into a knockdown. To the other side, no anti-air though. Aatreus has started to pick up a little bit of steam here, working towards the end game set or end game game points of this FT7. How do we get out? To be no conversion. However, you get a little bit of time to jump out, and then the multiple air options will get you. Oh, that was a tail end of their last shaker. Aatreus sort of extending himself into it. Decently large combo for Milia. Milia, even though usually not considered a damage character, will deliver decent amount of punishment in the corner for sure. It was a very dominant round for, I mean, not necessarily the super dominant round, but after getting the set play started, Brisa taking it home very convincingly, as you should. This should be how your victory conditions should flow as Milia. You get one opportunity to knock them down, you should flow into the victory unless they have like something like blue burst ready to be used. 6P misses. Oh, the 6P! It's so high! Aatreus still getting an anti-air with that, even though that was a double air dash. Granted, Brisa did start that jump from a fairly far distance, so it was maybe a little ambitious trying to sort of get over the opponent. I'm not actually even sure if Aatreus doesn't hit the 6P there, would Brisa be able to cross them up? Unsure. But the fact of the matter is, Aatreus is at that 6-pointer, which is a really nice position to be in an FT7. We need one more kill, one more match, and it's gonna be over. With 6P, follow up though. You do need a clean knockdown if you wanna start your set play game on Milia. Found the overhead. That gives enough frame advantage to go for a close slash. Ooh, I think maybe wanted to dash a little bit deeper, realized that that throw came out very, very early, and was able to save themselves with the use of PRC. But now, Brisa in the driver's seat, getting that positive bonus, equalizing the situation. This might actually favor Aatreus here, missing the core, but again, unpunished. I think it's of course very tricky if you miss that core at like half screen, full screen distance. But maybe with the movement speed of Milia, maybe we could get there. But who knows? YRC, give me +10. Give me those charged Fujins. Brisa is a very, very, very precious kind of life situation. 6P at the very end frames of the landing here, catching Aatreus and getting that round. We are still in it to win it. Never say it's over till it's over. Ooh, that baits the burst as well. This looks good for Brisa. Blue Wild Assault setting up the disc. Oh my goodness. The downside is that we unfortunately didn't get the 50 tension to get a hard knockdown, which is ever so important. But instead, sending the hair car RC, stealing the corner. However, Aatreus has been so good at reacting to those corner steals. Standard 2K hits, 2K 2D hits should be the kill. And Brisa still alive in this set. 3 more to go. Definitely doable, but it's gonna be a little tricky. I guess the natural enemy of a character like Milia is gonna be a blue burst. Because usually, like, I mean, maybe not, because like Milia doesn't necessarily work the same way that she's worked in the past, where every single knockdown repeats into the same Oki situation. If you want to cash out on Milia, you're not gonna get your best Oki. You usually have to cut your combo short and go for a compromise if you wanna, keep performing your best mix-up situations. Aatreus trying to align with what's that special move called? Am I dumb? Trying to remember. Database, QK database. What is it? Capel, that's it. To the other side. Ooh, the backlash makes the jump heavy actually whip from Milia. But Brisa catching with the close slash, trying to jump out, but gets clipped by the call. It's gonna be a lot of damage here. Ooh, okay, choosing to not actually take the wall break and missing the super cancel as well. This is not what Aatreus wanted for sure. Getting clipped by the close jump slash as well. This time, Go managed to find the hit on block and then going to the low follow-up. It's kind of tricky because Aatreus has been using Rin, the overhead follow-up of Hujin, so much that, Brisa is kind of, I think, naturally standing up a lot, but then getting clipped by the Nagiha, which is very dangerous because Nagiha does convert into 5K and full combo nowadays. But here we go, throw into a meaty disc. Committed, so getting clipped by the super. Has the 50 meter of her own. RC into, we got the hit. However, Aatreus still has the blue burst in the tank, forcing the offensive situation. Good escape by Brisa though. Oh, the Sui gets into Hakomi. Is that gonna be a kill? Yes, indeed. Converting into a core, the basic loop, and that's gonna be 7 points for Aatreus. But Brisa did fight back quite well, all things considered. This was, as I said, was gonna be quite a challenge game for Brisa, but he performed fairly well. Interesting matchup for sure. Like you said, we've seen so many of those standard pokers versus Anji that it's such a breath of fresh air when you get to actually see Anji versus, characters that don't necessarily engage you from very traditional standard angles. Very, very interesting set to watch. Moving on, next we're gonna have one of our new Sin Kisk heroes, Hoplan. I don't want to say a former Nago player, because this guy does play Nago still, but has been on that sub-character grind pretty heavily as of recent. The opponent today is gonna be Saves. And this matchup, we've seen this matchup on Bounty Hunters quite some before. It's an interesting one for sure. On surface level, it kind of looks like both characters have like pretty decent pokes, very far-reaching pokes, but usually the fact of the matter is that Sin gets a little better buttons to press. Slightly more disjoint, slightly more range, slightly more convertibility. And Elphelt has to make up for that by using her mobility. Not just the special moves such as like the Pineberry or, you know, that kind of stuff. Just the standard move speed of Elphelt is fairly fast compared to standard characters. So what that means is that you can play yourself in positions where even if you can't necessarily, like, even if you don't have as potent of, like, just use this button like a far slash, put a hitbox out there, prevent the opponent from occupying that space. Even if you lose that kind of metagame against the opponent's character, you have really good opportunities to, you know, utilize your fast movement speed for, you know, maybe baiting approaches, breaking out of it, finding whiff punish positions, maybe finding surprise engagements because of your faster movement speed. You're gonna have to rely on stuff like that a little bit more than just standard poking when it comes to playing neutral with Elphelt. Whereas Sin-Kisk is tried and do a true standard poker, just really good pokes that occupy space, especially 2S. 2S is truly a button that you can just leave out, stays active for very long. If the opponent runs into it, you take half of their life, and it recovers so fast, very hard to whiff punish. Sin also has a lot of approach tools of his own. Hoplan starting here very early with that 2 stamina burner, which is gonna be a staple for most Sin far range combos. 2 stamina, land anything on block, any special move, any normal, it's gonna convert into big damage. Maybe not if it's 6p, because 6p sort of prorates a lot, or gravity prorates especially a lot, but most of your normals are gonna go into big damage with 2 stamina. No cancel there. So this is a DP character that you're playing against on Elphelt, and you gotta take that into account. One of the best DPs in the game, Hulkbaker. You can't just cancel into your Rekka willy-nilly. Even if you have like a 6 heavy or a 5 heavy cancel into Rekka, those still have a gap. There is no way to make your Rekka pressure gapless. And that was a fast round here. Hoplan engaging. Even a little bit of hesitation, Elk Hunt gets you in there, gets you in a mix-up position, start the brawling, and Sin definitely a character who has the life and the damage to brawl with you. Ooh, that was a nice one. So Elk Hunt, we're gonna be seeing this special move so much from Sin, and if you don't have a counter plan against it, aka you should have like some sort of a neutral jump, counterplay, or occupying the space on the ground using your active frames. Some sort of, like, you need something to be able to stop Elk Hunt, because if not, the Sin player doesn't even necessarily have to play neutral with you. They're just gonna pounce at you all day long. Interesting, Hoplan actually went for the 2 stamina burner into a dash cancel on the far slash, on the close slash. But you know, Sin is kind of a 2-touch character. You first burn your 2. Ooh, that works definitely. If the opponent tries to poke with Beak Driver, you can go under with a 6p. But of course, if you get your guess right and the opponent is gonna go for Elk Hunt instead, gotta go under and get a big fat counter hit on you. Speaking of counter hits, ooh, I think the close slash has been able to recover here, right? Holding back, yep. He is a very slow reversal super after all. The whatever that's called for Elphelt. Jumping into, finally getting to the Rekka, but good blocks by Hoplan. 6p into, yep, this is that one situation I was talking about. Even if you do the 2 stamina burn on 6p and it's full screen, it actually does not reach for Sin. You would have to do something like 6p, big driver follow-up into Karakens or RTL or something advanced like that if you actually want to get the wall break. So it's kind of like a dark horse or an odd one out of all the SavesHaven conversions that don't just naturally get a wall break for free. Ooh, I like that. So didn't quite have the 2 stamina yet, so spent the RC instead to fix the conversion here for Hoplan. To the other side, no reaction from Saves. Ooh, this should be a punish. Gets a clothesline. That's a great choice of button there. Don't pick small ones like 6P. Anti with the far slash. 5 heavy counter hit that goes into a successful, I think, looking like a very advanced or what should we call it, a very optimal looking combo there as well.
Duel 1.
Those are really great when you can counter hit confirm those like big far-reaching 5 heavies from Elfelt. Those are really cool because you get so much corner carry, so much damage, and you can kind of do the same thing that Sin does to you with the 2 stamina if you can find a big conversion like that. But now, speaking of those big things, out of stamina here, the 5 heavy anti-airs, and Copper actually hit confirms that. That was actually nutty. Was lacking a little bit of stamina there at the tail end. Reversal should catch through, right? Yeah, it's gonna go through. I mean, generally the go-to response would be the reversal, the meter-free reversal DP, but you can go for RTL as well. It is better rewards, especially if you are on the opponent's side of the screen, so you can guarantee that the RTL is gonna break the wall. So of course, in those situations, it's much better reward than the DP that Hoplan played here. Now we'll have to go into sort of stamina saving mode perhaps, or you can alternatively just rush in and use the the stamina to fix the situation instead. The cool thing about Sin, the kind of resource management character Sin is, you pick one of your resources. The primary resource, usually stamina, if you can always spend it. 2 stamina gets you a good combo, but you can substitute it for either 50 tension or 50 burst as well and get the wall break like that. It's a really cool kind of choose your own adventure kind of character. What resource do you want to get or burn to get the wall break? But now looking like Saves has actually been able to get to the excellent position of mixing the opponent up. Misses with the first Rekka. However, the Rekka sequence for Elfelt has the funny feature of being able to be whiff cancelled. So even if you whiff your S Rekka, you can still go for the follow-ups and still catch the opponent. And now Saves looking to go in relentlessly. Has been very Hoplan sort of oriented match so far. Got the cross up as a counter hit as well. Back throw. One more mix-up to go. Hoplan will be able to go back to neutral here with full stamina as well, and we can definitely take this. Use the RTL here just for the safety. From this distance, if you go into TB, you would have to get the clean hit. So making sure that the wall break happens for sure. Not quite the kill here, but the mix doesn't matter. Go into Hawkbaker. We're gonna be dead anyway if we let, Elfelt make us block stuff in that situation. 50 meter and 1 stamina. What can we do? Go under. And however, 1 stamina, a little hard there, and a trade there on the hoof stomp will get the round, or rather the game for Saves, evening up to 2-2. Even though it feels like it's been very Hoplan sort of. It feels like the pace has been chosen by Hoplan a lot of the times. Goes to show how precise Saves has been when he gets into the driver's position, when you get into the pressure position. There's the 5 heavy into 5 heavy, one of my favorite sequences actually, because 5 heavy has just a little bit of disjoint. It's kind of a cool spacing track kind of situation that you can reset, like right here. You can just let that 5 heavy rock, take a couple of steps back, press far slash, or press 5 heavy again, and the opponent will kind of have to do the same kind of RPS as against Chip on the Rekka cancels. Like Rekka 1 is minus on block, but it spaces away so far, and Chip has such good buttons to press afterwards that it's like not necessarily your turn even after Rekka 1 on block. Same with Sin 5 heavy. It's not necessarily your turn, it's just RPS afterwards. The second overhead lands. So this has been the... Ooh, this should hit. This is the 6P, right? Yeah, no drift RC backwards. Tried to do it, but unfortunately at this range, it is gonna go active. Recognizing that Hoplan could have gone for RTL, goes for a TK RTL afterwards. Do you know the play after? Okay, I mean, that works as well. If the Sin player does not run away with the RTL and chooses to just ram into you, you can get a punish there at the end. However, Hoplan, I think, did have a burst there, even after that. It's quite the cheeky kind of thingy that you can go for if you, like, for example, fake a jump in on the opponent, but at the very last moment use the air RTL to sort of beat out their anti-air champs. Hoplan was a little too far for that kind of interaction in that kind of situation, but you know, the idea is sort of that. Ooh, but now we're gonna go into one of the best situations that Elbow could ever set up. The bomb bell, big damage, and should be able to build to 50. No, not quite. But just waiting for the last hit, being very patient, checking, is the Hawk Picker gonna come out? No? Alright, I'll do a delayed poke instead then. Might be anti-air. Knocking them down, starting your own pressure. A little far away from the 50 tension, so won't be able to break the wall immediately. Ooh, but this time, Saves actually used a button that reaches very far and stays active for very long, the 2D there, which does beat out the 5 heavy. We do have the special super cancel here, not utilized by Hoplan this time. Can cancel here if we do. 1, 2. Oh, instead goes for the full sequence. That's even better. If you would have hit confirmed into the super immediately, probably not gonna get the kill. But Hoplan recognized that we have the 0 stamina loop here before firing that super. Spend all here, set up the fucked up throw strike situation. Trying to buy time here. Oh, that's gonna be punishable. But saves, not reacting. Maybe a hole in your character knowledge. If Sin doesn't have meter and doesn't have stamina, all of those special moves are gonna be punishable even on hit. But doesn't matter. Even if you miss one knowledge check, saves, blazing forward. This one again, another knowledge check. Do we press a button? No, tries to escape it. So the fact of the matter of the situation is if you hit an RTL on block close up, you can always throw or close slash punish it. They should catch Sin, bring him to the ground, but what's the frame situation? The frame situation, it's gonna be punished! There's a, like, depending on the spacing and depending on who's doing what super, some characters might be able to be safe in that situation because blocking stuff in the air in Guilty Gear Strive introduces a lot of landing recovery, forced landing recovery. However, on the reversal, Hoplan's still getting the punish. Now into the medium low. Safe saying, no, not gonna take that wall break just now, especially since you are low on stamina. Substituting the Wild Assault for the stamina cancel. Again, still lacking the stamina, which would be the most simple way to make this wall break happen. But Hoplan will have to improvise here a little. The elk. Very far spacing there, missing completely. Letting Saves have a whiff punish, but still not able to follow that up successfully. Hoplan had done so much damage, even going into that low stamina situation, that it was hard for Saves to bring that back. Now spend it all, get a throw. We can go into a couple of different things. Ooh, we counter hit. But converting into the DP would require at least 1 stamina here. But luckily, when you are on defensive, ZoKHiZ does recover that stamina over time, so it's one of the characters. Ooh, that's such a good whiff punish. The 2 heavy, if you whiff that, that's gonna be punishable for such a long time. And Saves did notice, even though he was almost at full screen away. Really good awareness, really good awakeness, presence of mind, not letting that slide for free. Ooh, big driver, and that's gonna convert into a lot. Spend 3, but get the wall break. Half of your opponent's life. 2-touch ZoKHiZ now. Hoplan is probably gonna be... No, never mind, we're gonna go in! That was actually a pretty good choice there, because we had the positive bonus, and that would have yielded 100 meter if, you know, Saves didn't burst out of there. Is this gonna clip? No, not quite, but Hoplan has 100 meter, can save himself, and even keep up the pressure. Ooh, that's a counter hit! Do we have a conversion? No, not quite! But we are still in a pretty decent, or tough predicament, let's say. Even despite the +10 on the YRC, I think Saves tried to be a little a little greedy there. Dash in for maybe a throw, which was met by Hoplan's counter close slash. That's definitely one kind of a button to press in that kind of situation. But if your opponent tries to get a throw on you, that could be good. Ooh, missing the throw, going for another one. Might as well trade in Sin's favor. Oh, the opponent still in the corner. The RC didn't necessarily have to do that, but if you knew that the burst was gonna come, oh, and then the counter hit on the 5 heavy, converts into the right conversion. The 5 heavy, I haven't seen any Sin player on Bounty Hunters do that yet, other than Hoplan. 5 heavy counter hit, link into far slash. That's kind of a nifty combo that you can get a little bit of an optimization for stamina expenditure there. Definitely a high-level combo path to use for Hoplan. Ooh, that's gonna... Nice! Recognizes again! The resource management has been so impeccable for Hoplan. But of course, because you are a Nagoryuki player, a character that is even more of a hard resource management character than Sin Kisk, so downgrading into a slightly easier to play one should come naturally, really, right? But now good here for saves. We have the 100. Yep, spend on the bomb belt. Could have maybe gotten a hit on the reversal super, but taking it safe. RC is not available. What about the bomb belt? The bomb belt is gonna be gone because you're breaking the wall here, and suddenly it's a complete reversal of the situation. But look at that weak punish! Standing at the perfect spacing once again. That's the third option that you can play against Elkhunt. If you space yourself away from the Elkhunt active range, you can wait for it to end and then poke into it. But that usually requires you to back off, like, you know, backwalk, backdash, do things like, you know, things that actively corner yourself, so they like that kind of... Oh, and again, saves. Maybe it's like, it is of course, you know, if you... Ooh, nice escape there. Or rather the evasion of the DP. Saves is playing out of their mind this round. RTL, I think Hoplan had 100 as well, so we can go for a follow-up. Or the fourth hit. Chooses to forego it this time. Probably a good idea. Unless it kills, you don't want to dump the rest of your meter on that wall break necessarily. One more hit point left. We're gonna go for it again. Counter hit will guarantee that we could turn around. Does turn around in the end, but you would have to turn around on the second hit if you want to get the wall break. We'll get it. No, won't get it. That's a punish. No! Zero stamina Elkhunt. Again, in the heat of the moment, it can be hard to miss that Sin doesn't have any stamina. The threat is, if there will be a follow-up, that's the frame trap. But if not, that is minus 5 at worst. If Sin hits you, that's -5. Otherwise, it's like hella punishable on block. But, you know, mental stack is a thing, and pace of the match is a thing. Ooh, there we go. This one activates a little bit faster. The 2 heavy goes active before the Elkhunt. RTL here. Did saves hit a button? No. But do we have the punish here? I mean, sort of. Combo dropping there in the end. Far slash won't do the anti-airing this time, unfortunately. And Hoplan once again fighting the counter hit 5 heavy. Didn't get the link that they were looking for, but still. Stamina a little bit too low. We can pick up from this one. There we go. Finally have the stamina to hit confirm the like just about anything that they were looking for. But that's so unfortunate. Not knowing that little bit of that little tidbit of information that RTL is actually not very safe even after the first hit on block. That's gotten Hoplan a lot of mileage out of these reversal situations. To the other side, good burst timing on the Hoplan. Sees the burst as well. This boy is out of his mind. And we can go into, do we get a clean hit? Of course we do get clean hit. It is Hoplan after all. What's the escape here for saves? No escape, unfortunately. Without that burst resource, it's kind of like, yeah, are you gonna backdash? Are you gonna reversal super? What are you gonna do? And these Finnish guys, these Finnish Sin players, Hoplan, Raigand, showing some ridiculous advancement, ridiculous, you know, power spikes since the last time we've seen them. Every single time, it's like a couple of weeks, and they've gotten so much better, so much better, so much better. But I mean, arguably Sin is that kind of a character, very standard character that is easy to sort of get better with, as long as you have the basic fundamentals down as well. So, you know, not a big surprise there. Good match for saves as well. It's so unfortunate that there was a couple of those very standard Sin knowledge checks that just weren't checked. I feel like if Saves punishes all the RTLs and is a little bit more active on the low stamina, especially elk follow-up situations, that match could have looked completely different, because Hoplan was stealing some turns there when there should have been none. But hey, that's the kind of stuff that fighting games, that's one of the beauties of fighting games after all. Right, heading into our Finland versus Sweden bout of the evening. The neighborhood rivalry, or the neighboring country rivalry that we've had between our two countries for a very long time. Kuro representing Sweden on that Happy Chaos, and Ruby representing Finland on that May. So what we've gathered from Ruby's playstyle as we watched her on the May, she's plays very fast. As you know, a lot of May players tend to. It's an excellent character for just sort of overloading your opponent with options, especially because like RPS situations such as the S Dolphin happen so fast, and as you see happen, you have to have your RPS option already ready to go. If not, May's gonna abuse you. May's gonna press a button, might just backdash out of the situation, press a far range button, go into another S Dolphin, even a heavy Dolphin. Like, if you can't keep up, this is a really hard matchup to play. However, Kuro has been pretty good in the matchup knowledge department in many of the matchups that he's played so far on Bounty Hunters, I want to say. And being a very standard, like, good buttons kind of a character should be a decent feature against May. However, I guess, yeah, I now that I think about it, there is an innate weakness against May for Happy Chaos, right? Because Happy Chaos generally doesn't like characters that can move forward in bursts. So things like maybe 3K from May, S Dolphin from May, even Up Dolphin, like stuff that just moves really fast and can outsmart your reticle. You know, characters that have that kind of moves can be a little tricky to deal with if they choose to just force RPS against you like that. In those kind of matchups, you kind of have to play like a standard character, as if you were just the Kai Kisk. Extend your 2S out there, extend your active frames out there, stop the 3K, stop the S Dolphin. And once you do that, then you can take out your gun and start shooting. I mean, of course, if you land anything on the opponent and they are in hit stun or block stun, because your gun will always home in on the opponent, and after that it's, you know, bam bam, bam bam, thank you ma'am, sure, that works. It's gonna be a lot of damage and or a good mix-up situation afterwards. You can force your opponent into block stun like that. But Happy Chaos certainly will bleed. If May gets in, you know, plant a close slash on block, and May is one of the hardest to get rid of, one of the stickiest, one of the nastiest strike throw characters in the game. +3, has a command grab to mix it up with. And in terms of the defensive options for Happy Chaos, not necessarily the best out there. Of course, the best defensive capabilities for Happy Chaos are in his normals. 2K is amazing if you have time to get it out. And if you can, you know, put yourself airborne and or build a little bit of distance between you and your opponent, you could try to take out the gun. Like, it's not guaranteed that it lands on the opponent, but you can try at least. And that is a unique kind of defensive option as well. Backdash out of the throw. As long as we have the opponent blocks, then we're taking out that gun. Ooh, that looked very interesting. Maybe doing some sort of a misinput there for Kuro. Still able to fix the situation, get a couple of bullets, couple more. Ooh, and now the bullet situation is gonna be fixed altogether. Looked a little tight there for Kuro for a moment. It's like oftentimes when you're, you know, especially in modern patches, when you use especially your concentration a little bit faster than previous patches, you run into situations where your resources get exhausted really fast and you're like, shit, I have like one more shot, I have one more bullet, two more bullets, and I have to mix the opponent up. I have to knock the opponent down with that. Otherwise, I'm gonna be out of resources. And that was a May round. I was yapping, and that was just one hit into more pressure into. Ooh, that was a very fast burst. That's gonna be fun for Kuro for sure. Maintaining their own burst and being able to put on the heat on May here. Yeah, but staying agile, the gunshot is just missing all the time. That's the curse of Happy Chaos. If you just take out the gun raw, it is always 1 out of 3 chance that it is gonna land somewhere where your opponent is not, and it doesn't latch. Once again, tries to take out the gun, but Ruby staying as mobile as possible, moving around in the air, on the ground. S-Dolphin, ooh, chooses not even interactive with it. Just jump out of the corner. I like that. This time, it's Kuro who has to go for the burst. Are we gonna burst here back? This is a last round here. Damn, the Reticle is having so much trouble keeping up on Ruby. Even those air jump situations, May just, it feels like May has always been that character who, once you're in the air, you come down really fast. Like, she has a lot of whatchamacallit, a lot of gravity. So she comes down really fast, and it can be really, like, it can make her jump-ins really hard to react to. You have to react to those really fast. Because, like, they're, from the peak of her jump, she's gonna come down like a rock and hit you with those big normals. Right, from 1-0 situation, Kuro advantage. We're gonna move into the next one. And like, if you as a Happy Chaos player try to rely a little too much on those blind shots, just hoping that the reticle latches on the opponent instead of, you know, playing the neutral like this is how you on the layer 1 play Happy Chaos matchups. Land a good button first. 2S, it doesn't even have to be on hit. It can be on block. That will allow you to take out your gun and allow you to force a mix-up. On an honest layer, this is how Happy Chaos is gonna work. If your opponent moves around like a small, fast turbo monkey, the reticle will never find its mark on raw gun activations. Ooh, drifting forward. Yep, forcing the situation here. Maybe waiting for a super, because Ruby had 100 meter in the tank, so could have potentially gone for the reversal super PRC, which is a very, very common, just get out of me, get off me for free. I mean, for the meager cost of 100 meter, but you get the idea. Pedaling those S buttons. Boxing in the corner as May. Here comes, ooh, okay. Did get a small punish on the way out, so the 6P on the landing frames. Kuro is out of there for now. But going back to this neutral kind of situation, backdash from the throw and get the punish. I think that was not a true punish, but I think Ruby tried to jump out, but unfortunately Kuro not able to keep up with the pace of the match and not unable to hit confirm the hit. It was a little hard to hit confirm as well. Very, very stray kind of a hit situation there. And I missed, it might have been that Kuro was out of bullets there. I didn't check perfectly, but definitely not out of bullet this time. Ruby chooses a really nice timing for the burst, putting Kuro in the corner. However, he managed to fight out of there. Again, the double jump. What kind of timing are you gonna use for your anti-air? Or if you're just too scared to anti-air, I'm gonna come and take all of your resources, your YRC, and maybe even your burst. Kuro has been able to find the Abare button. And as any good Happy Chaos should, full screen, corner carry, misses the last shot. I mean, in the end, Kuro didn't have the 50 meter to get Deus Ex Machina reload. Ooh, again. Ruby just really good eye for those baits. But has been a little iffy, like 50-50 being able to get the follow through for the punishes there. I mean, granted that was from a pretty far distance that you baited the burst there as a Ruby. Through the wall we go. Again, no RPS options. Technically, S Dolphin, every character in the game can press a fast button and prevent you from doing anything afterwards. You can force Mei to backdash. Ooh, but finding a killer Dolphin, not quite the kill, but this is gonna be dangerous. Any special move, even those S Dolphins are potential chip killers. And just like that, Ruby takes 2 games in a row. Starting the momentum. Can we break it on Kuro's side here? Yeah, trying to reach for that 2K. That I think the 2K should be the right option for Happy Chaos as well. A really far-reaching 2K that starts in 6 frames, right? Is all that you need. However, it does require some execution. Ooh! Press the button that made Ruby corner herself. The reticle just doesn't latch! Look at that! It's been the most unlucky reticle that I've ever seen. It just doesn't find its target. And now, split into overhead kiss should be the kill. Yes, indeed. Overhead kiss, more like overhead kill. There we go. Strike on the landing is what started this sequence. It's cool as well when you get a wall stick with a normal, you always have an opportunity to still cancel into that concentration refill before you go for your wall breaker, which I think is not the case if you, I mean, if for example, if you have to go prematurely into the super. All right, this round was all Kuro for sure. This is definitely the kind of momentum swing or momentum recovery that we were looking for. The most animes of round start. Dash forward on a passive opponent, get the throw, and start your pressure that way. There we go, curse has been applied, which means, finally, the reticle is finding its target a little bit faster than usual. It doesn't still make the reticle latch automatically, which is a very common misconception how Happy Chaos works. There we go, 2K! Preventing the S-Dolphin from coming in. That's another really important RPS tool that you need. You need to be able to stop the S-Dolphin before it hits, so you can avoid the RPS altogether. If you know it's coming, of course. Get a little bit of a Dark Souls mix-up. Ruby initially blocking really well, and now Kuro has gone bust. Has to wait for a couple more frames. The concentration is back, but maybe, is it too late? You're gonna have to guess. The low is what hits, but Ruby, never mind! I was gonna say, didn't have the 50 meter, but the fully charged 6 heavy, one of the hardest wall-breaking normals in the game. Actually able to seal the deal there, starting the round with an S-Dolphin counter hit and misses the follow-up combo on the stagger overhead kiss. From the split into a throw, throwing into the right direction as well. The late air backdash overhead. There we go, backdash on exactly what the doctor ordered. That was gonna be a command grab situation. But Ruby still not giving away. Oh, dropped the combo and then transitioned into sort of like a happy little accident 5 heavy meaty there. It was funky as well because Ruby ended up completely missing one of those 5 heavies. So there might have been a thought in Kuro's mind that, wait, she's just missing, she's just whiffing. Should I just press a button? And it still was not your turn. Definitely Kuro's turn this time around. Didn't get Deus Ex Machina out, however, full clip, so Not missing that much value other than, of course, the hard knockdown and the damage. Okay, disengages from the Totsugeki RPS situation. Backdash, backdash, backdash is actually one of the best tools in the game universally for outsmarting that reticle. I think the reticle just can't follow any backdash up. All of them are gonna be fast enough. Ooh, and then hanging around just outside the throw range before the throw-in frames of the opponent are over, and then we strike. Or rather, throw. Tried to go for a round start 5, the 6B there, Kuro. But the option for Ruby was a low reaching poke to S that time. Get the mix. Again, the backdash. Backdash getting yourself out of the reticle distance. Split. Yep, 6B. Immediate burst. With the opponent back into the corner. 6B. Unfortunately, very, very low range horizontally for Happy Chaos. Does its work as an anti-air, but if you want to reach the opponent on the footsies scenarios, it's a little lackluster in that regard. But hey, a character has to have disadvantages as well, right? A lot of buttons for Happy Chaos are above average, if we put it like that. So some of your normals have to, I mean, it does the deed. It does the deed if you have the timing right. But not quite the testament 6B, let's put it like that. There we go, run under, 6B, take out the gun. However, we're kind of struggling getting a clean conversion here, while Ruby is just plummeting forward into the mauling distance, using the Blanca ball, if you will, to just get in there and start the RPS. 5-1. Ruby is growing that lead. Missing too heavy, no punish there. I think too heavy from May is one of those fateful moves to miss that generally should be a reaction whip punish for the opponent if they're paying attention. Right, you get the best sequence ender here. Deus Ex Machina a little low on concentration, but we can start the sequence with our normals before we have to take out the gun. In fact, we only need so many shots. Don't even need the super here. Reload a couple of magazines, a couple of shots in the magazine, and then bam! Starting with the 6B once again. The 6B has, like, because Ruby is so, you know, fond of the especially the S Dolphin. I mean, many May players are, but if you think the S Dolphin is gonna be one of the most prevalent options, nice backdash into a close slash starter. Drops the combo though. We can't allow that kind of stuff. Ruby has been so good on the execution that I think Kuro has to follow suit. Dropping a combo again. Spaghetti gets the hit. Close slash backdash out of there. Ooh, 3K. Just choo-choo trains under that curse ball and then just casually waits for the YRC to come out. That's kind of nutty considering, like, 3K is not the most safe button on block either, albeit I think it was like fairly well spaced there for Ruby, so might have actually not been punishable for Kuro at all. To the wall we go. And into the throw, we can do this game as well. Ooh, that was a cross-up, and now it's Kuro's time to play the magnum opus. That's basically been what Ruby has been doing the whole set. Just reading YRCs, reading bursts left and right. Kuro finally having the same scent and taking that decisive burst out of Ruby's gauge. And finally breaking the momentum of Ruby's. But let's see how long that's gonna last. Throw here into split. We got the close slash as well. +3, always a good start for your pressure. Ooh, that's gonna be nasty. Getting the more damaging super as well. That's lights up, right? Yep. Yep.
Duel 2. Let's rock.
From the Heavy Dolphin, that's gonna be plus. Really important to being able to recognize between the startup of Heavy and the S Dolphin. S Dolphin is, you know, RPS time. And when Heavy Dolphin is blocked, it's like, yeah, May is plus, so maybe you gotta hold it. The cool thing is, like, if you react to the Dolphin startup, you are reacting to Heavy Dolphin, because you can't react to S Dolphin at all. Your reaction should be 6p, and if it was Heavy Dolphin, oh, we were talking smack, and Ruby does it again. Takes the burst, pulls Kuro into the corner, and here come the mix-ups. YRC to get out of the fucked up situation, tries to press 2S, that's a little too slow. Ruby backdashes out of the Dolphin situation. It's basically, I wonder what the button is for Happy Chaos to press. So if post S Dolphin you think May is gonna be backdashing, what are you pressing as Happy Chaos? That's a good question actually. Because you don't have any forward, like you don't have any forward moving special moves, right? And your reticle ain't gonna track them, right? So you would probably have to micro dash forward into like, or maybe go for like a 6S. It's a very good question. We're taking the pressure with the use of Wild Assault into massive damage. Yeah, you already know that's gonna be lights out. Ruby on set point. Fast matches. Exactly how May should be played. Oh, that's a counter hit, jump slash in the air. That's half of your life gone. Even maybe more. Charge up that 6 heavy. Oh my god. Ooh, it hurts so much. All right, we got the 6p on the Dolphin. And we get to start our pressure. Throw. Still good amount of resources. The less resources that you can use, that was a big commitment on the burst bait. Instead, Ruby goes for the YRC instead. And again, the reticle has so much trouble latching onto Ruby. Backdash, yeah. Ooh, this time the reticle actually latches because the curse was on. And the punish, would Ruby burst here? There's definitely a couple of different universes where Ruby saves the burst. All right, she chooses to play, or nothing. You die here, or I die here. And I go into the next round with a disadvantage. I mean, technically, both players have like around the same amount of burst, relatively. Start with a non-counter hit, so no converting out of that. That was a deep dash 6p. Very dangerous. Ooh, 6k actually gets a hit in. Against the Dolphin, I reckon that was Kuro fighting tooth and nail to stay alive. Doing the wall slump because we don't have the 50 meter to break yet. Resources looking very good. FD on that 6k is very smart idea, pushing Happy Chaos away, but can always be followed up by the gunshot to fix the situation. And here comes Kuro. Reversal gold burst is the last-ditch effort for Ruby. We could still take... Oh, the jump slash hitting behind. Guilty Gear hitboxes. But I reckon it was the S Dolphin that Ruby was doing that was kind of still extending. Because like, if you look at the animation, May's kind of riding that Dolphin, holding onto that Dolphin and like hanging on the Dolphin's tail. So her hitbox is like at the... Is extending still sort of behind the move as well, as far as I know. Ooh, clear reaction there on a mixed throw, or the missed throw rather. And now we mix. 5D tap. Ruby says, nope, not taking that wall break. We have get me out of the jail card. One piece of those. The reticle once again can't latch on the backdashing opponent. Ruby knows, and that works extremely well naturally for May players as well, because you know that backdash is good. Well, the backdash this time is Kuro, won't be able to latch the gunshot. Again, the reticle is wherever, whenever. But the opponent and the reticle were not meant to be together. It can't find it! Ruby's moving around so fast, especially those backdashes. Every one of those will make you miss your gunshot. And if you know that the Happy Chaos player just wants to find it, tries to find it, make it latch, and will pull the trigger, you will backdash. You will get value out of that backdash like crazy. They will miss all of their shots, they will be out of their resources, and then you can move forward and strike. Ooh, goes past. But does get the wall break. We're gonna slump, spend as much time as possible at neutral in order to get that the concentration back. Ruby has 50 meter as well, so YRC could be a thing. But if Kuro YRC's here, then we don't have... Oh, misses the 2S as well. Great air throw. Maybe there is still yet hope. Ruby would not burst here. Okay, this time a good decision to take the burst to the next round because we are still on set point. No reason to be hasty. All right, looking for a little bit more concentration here. Spent all of that. Ooh, dangerous whiff on the throw, but somehow living to tell the tale, and in fact gets a 2K2D. That's a good start. We could... Can we go for Deus Ex? Yeah! Get the full clip. And with that half concentration, we can actually do decent things here. Ruby might find it useful to YRC immediately. Doesn't do so. Confident that we can actually defend out of this. And defend she does! Now we have all of those resources that we didn't need to use for the defensive situation to be burned on this offensive situation. Alright, Kuro bursts. Get a couple of shots in. We could, yeah, committing into the mix-up, drifting into, ooh! The backwards drift and the punish. OTG is not enough. But now, chip situation. And then I started blasting. Probably one of the best situations to take out the steady aim and just blast it away. The opponent will probably have to just hold on to that FD for dear life at that point. And if they're blocking, that means they're not advancing on you. Means you can probably even cycle your resources. Ooh, the 6P whiff there was unfortunate. Did make Ruby corner herself in the end. Ooh, 5 heavy. Luckily that was not a counter hit, because that would have been basically a round over immediately. Somehow still alive, but next hit, not gonna be so lucky. 2K2D. Ruby goes into the set point position again. Tried to start with the 6P to call out the dolphin. No dice this time. It's actually a big hit for Ruby to start out with. One more of those, especially with the burst resources that we're building. Counter hit into overhit kiss. Ain't quite gonna kill, right? No. No. Gonna have one more scream to make the counter plays happen. Full burst, 50 meter. What's your option, Kuro? Get the goal burst. Ooh, that dolphin. Nice challenge there. The 2K does prevent the dolphin from going active, but there was no hit confirm. I think as Happy Chaos, you would like after the 2K, you would have to pull out your gun, right, to get like a successful conversion. But it's not the easiest conversion either, because I think usually Mei is gonna be jumping or backdashing, so you're gonna be scoring that 2K hit on an airborne opponent. And as we know, airborne like flash hit confirms are kind of hard to do on Guilty Gear games. Right, next up, we've got ZoKHiZ and Raven, and I think it's birthday Raven, right? Bike and mirror, and to recall what the situation here is. So ZoKHiZ has been on Baiken for just a couple of weeks, around 2-3 weeks most, but is certainly the more senior player, whereas Raven has played Baiken for quite a while, but not necessarily the overall fighting game experience that old man ZoKHiZ has, because I gotta say, ZoKHiZ has been with us since the XX times. Around the year 2000, when these Guilty Gear franchise games started coming out. ZoKHiZ has seen it all. Old man, Grandpa ZoKHiZ. Definitely not lacking in the experience department, but, you know, these are, as they say, Guilty Gear Strive, a young man's game. We have a lot of new players who've never played Guilty Gear games or never even played fighting games before. So this is a very nice installment to get into fighting games and start your career. We should probably distinguish which Baiken is which. So ZoKHiZ is the orange, right? Yeah. Fix that on the names. Orange cat. I guess we can leave Raven's name as it is because it's quite long. We have the color on ZoKHiZ side. Oh, the tap for the kill there. Yeah, I mean, that was actually what I was talking about to my wife, where all the other players in the Evo Japan finals are like guys on their 20s, and then you got old man Suzumu on his freaking 40s and old man Daru on his, I don't know, on his 40s as well, or 30s, I don't even know. But those kind of players, very rare kind of situations representing the old guard that is still there in the modern Guilty Gear games when many have quit before. All right, but back to this game. So ZoKHiZ finding himself in a little bit of a predicament until he got the throw. And as we know, throw allows you to attach the Kabari tether and get to your best mix-ups just like that. Now 1-1. Fighting for the starting point. 6B into Kabari, nice! Look at the BMB conversions, a little too far, allowing Raven to backdash out of that situation. Was able to see that Kabari mat not hitting deep enough by any means. Ooh, go under the Kabari here with, no, not the biggest conversion, but in a follow-up situation, able to break the wall. Lacking the 50 meter there, unfortunately. Now ZoKHiZ is completely loaded. Potentially those gun supers could be a thing. But I think, ooh, goes for the red parry, but the timing doesn't quite align. Getting big punished, waiting for the burst. ZoKHiZ, however, RPSing till the bitter end. Finally getting the blue burst out. Gunshot comes out. Had to burst there. The next hit would have killed. Is it gonna, no! The tatami mat! Actually, the uncombos. Yozan, RC into another Yozan. That was basically a true high-low situation. From that Yozan RC, you didn't even have to have any more meter there on Raven. All you needed was to find either the 2D, the low option, or Yozan, the high option, and that was a done deal. The opponent was so low on health. Nice kind of quotation with punish there. One thing is, if you're not necessarily in the range to like far/with punish or too heavy with punish them, you could try to use the Kabaris. I mean, heavy Kabari can be a with punish button or a poke button, but you could try to swing with an S Kabari instead from like completely outside of your opponent's range and try to attach the rope if they're just whipping their buttons too far away. The interesting thing is, like, Baiken's like a natural disadvantage to getting zoned or getting like out-poked just doesn't exist in the mirror matchup because it's, you know, by definition completely even. So you get to play the same game as your opponent. Nice snipe there. Drops the combo in the end. However, we have trademark happy little accidents doubling it up into a wall break. Unfortunately, ZoKHiZ doesn't have the 50 meter, but will score a massive life lead from this one. And because of that BRC, the BRC that didn't lead to much for Raven, now ZoKHiZ will have all the oh, nice, goes under with the 6B. ZoKHiZ still has 50 meters soon. Soon, trademark. Is it gonna be soon enough? Burst out of there. Both players with the 50. But Raven can't really take a hit. I have the high ground, Anakin! Don't try to fuck with me! ZoKHiZ a little higher up in the air will be able to fire that gun post-flash. That's a very comfortable situation because, like, you don't even have to commit to the gunshot. As long as you're higher than the opponent, you can just, oh, that angle doesn't seem to align at all. You're gonna miss? Alright, I'll do my own. Ooh, both players missing the Kabari there. Slightly too far away. You still have to be like relatively close, like maybe around mid-screen-ish, to be able to... for your heavy Kabari to be able to, you know, find its mark. 6B? Into what direction? Classic Guilty Gear stuff, and ZoKHiZ converts. If we get the wall break, this should be a donezo deal. Not quite. Still boxing the opponent in the corner. Empty jump into a 2K because the opponent missed their anti-air attempt. I didn't even see if BlackRaven was queuing up a proper anti-air there. Was it a close slash? Was it a 6B? Couldn't see. Ooh, cross under. I like that. Just taking a little bit of a breather here before striking with the jump slash. Into air dash jump slash again. A little bit iffy there on the. I'm not sure if they're. I'm gonna be honest. I don't know a whole lot about Viking's combo theory on this game. Ooh, finding the far slash with the BMB combo, setting up. Ooh, going for the reversal parry, first of the kind. ZoKHiZ did use one of those red parries earlier, which could have potentially been. Oh, high ground is this time for Raven. Both players go for the throw. Yeah, ZoKHiZ knew. Kind of had to, like, if the opponent goes for the throw punish there, you absolutely have to try to break it. It was really funny though, because ZoKHiZ I think was below Raven, so it was like a reverse RC, you're below your opponent kind of situation. If that makes any sense, what I'm trying to describe here. Right, momentum burst. Returns it with even more value, as gold burst is what gets Raven out of the corner. Carried by that hit. Able to, even despite that RC, match ZoKHiZ up with the meter. Ooh, baits out the throw attempt, and that's probably gonna be quite the explosive shimmy, if you will. What's that kind of shimmy? Is that an RC shimmy? There was a drift backwards, so it's kind of like a backdash shimmy with a little bit more oomph, making sure that you are never gonna miss the throw punish if your opponent actually goes for it. Right, empty. Go for it again. This time with safe jump Yozan. I mean, technically safe jumps don't really work against the mirror Biken because, you know, Hiragi, the reversal parry, just kills all safe jump attempts. So there's a little more layers than that. Alright, both players brawling for their life. Now ZoKHiZ, life advantage, resource advantage as well. Ugan gonna go under with the too heavy. As sees the burst coming, really good play for BlackRaven. This might actually be what the doctor ordered. Tried to go for the parry again. I wonder if those are attempts to go for like just a pure reversal parry, or if ZoKHiZ is actually trying to go for, you know, actual red parries in the pressure. Nevertheless, both of those attempts have not been working out for ZoKHiZ so far. They are very tricky to input. The timing of your red parry has to be absolutely perfect because they don't have the same active frames as the standard Hiragi. Oh, did it 3 times? Are you kidding me? Raven, how does your mom let you have 3 parries in a row? Unpunished. But now ZoKHiZ containing the prey in the corner. Ready with the 6P, however, smart from Raven, recognizing that the more advanced player will probably find the anti-air timing and chooses to not commit into it. That's kind of like the meat and bones of your air game in Guilty Gear Strive. You're probably gonna say that, okay, the opponent will 6P me if I go for a standard jump in, so I should probably bait as much as possible. Use double jumps, use triple jumps if your opponent has, use momentum altering moves, or just, you know, late air backdash, create different timings like that. You know, what was that? The neutral, empty neutral air dash into a super. Was that what happened there? Are these the Yomi layers? ZoKHiZ though has the tether attached and is gonna be the one doing the Tenji Jinning here. Is that that's a quite the creature of a word combination. We're fighting for small lead here in the game number 5. ZoKHiZ burst into the corner immediately. BlackRaven reversing the situation with a burst of his own. And as we know, this character Biken can be very defensive in the way that he moves. Again, tries to go for the red parry, but the timing is peculiar. The timing is tight. And Raven getting another big punish. Oh, that Yozan. That Yozan cleaves the ground as well. That is such a, like, that can be a very frustrating kind of neutral poke to deal with. He has a lot of recovery, so if you whiff with a Yozan, technically should be fairly punishable if your opponent is not sleeping. However, the hurt box is quite protected because you do put yourself airborne, right? So it has a lot of counter poke potential in a way. Right, close enough for the standard conversion. Nice! And transitions into the super instead of the normal, just in time. Really good reaction speed on ZoKHiZ. Who says that old men can't react to stuff? Absolute bullshit. Starting with the round start Hiragi. There we go. This time. Oh my god. Just committed. Let me show how to use that Hiragi. Ooh, hopping over the opponent's normal. There we go. Inputting a little bit of a delay there. That's basically the bread and butter RPS choice. Not necessarily what button you're pressing against that parry, but what is the timing that you're pressing. And if you input just enough delay so that the active frames of the parries are over, it doesn't matter what you're pressing, it's gonna be a counter hit. But you're usually probably gonna use one of your harder hitting close normals, such as like delayed close slash or something like that. Go for a throw. However, ZoKHiZ smartly knew the situation in the last pixel situation. If I'm gonna go for a throw, I will always do it as a PRC option select option. Yes, you will get less rewards if the opponent, like if the throw actually lands and you PRC, but it doesn't matter if your opponent is so low. You're gonna get the kill anyway. It's one of the more advanced ways to end rounds. You don't just go for the throw. Often enough, your opponents are just gonna be fuzzy jumping or up backing anyway. So do the PRC option select as well when it matters the most. Alright, sniping them with the instant air dash jump slash, very classic. Now trying to be defensive with that backwards jump tatami. However, Raven finding the mark. Ooh, the Hiragi does work against that TK Yozan overhead. And I think the Yozan and as well as the low will sort of land on same kind of timing, so it should work against the low as well, yes? Of course, depending on how you set it up. And even if you set it up like airtight, red parry is always a thing. I think maybe that's actually what ZoKHiZ has been trying to rev up. Here comes the traditional reversal super though. Not quite gonna get the wall break. Just kidding, would have been the wall break because ZoKHiZ at 100. Able to avoid the downwards tatami mats. Oh, and gleams behind with that Yozan-sen. Such a dirty special move. Even better in modern patches as it vacuums for real ZoKHiZ seeing the dash. You shall not approach on me. You shall not encroach on my throw territory. A little bit of personal space, please. The 5p tap will put stop to all of the ambitions of BlackRaven there. Once again, ZoKHiZ by just 1 point will be on the driver's seat, waiting for the burst. Yep, that's reasonable recognition, because I think Raven has been bursting, especially out of those corner positions, has been bursting fairly fast. So this time ZoKHiZ trying to wait for it, but smartly, enough delay in Raven's burst. And now, the alternative situation. Attach the Kabari. Ooh, instant air backdash, completely disengage out of the situation. Interesting. So foregoing the mix-up completely, in a way. Alright, we got the Kabari. No, chose to actually not attach the Kabari. Is it because you don't get a good mix-up situation with the tether in the corner or something? Unsure. Alright, finding a conversion. The staircase, do we have? Yeah, ZoKHiZ says there is probably gonna be a wall break out of this one. And it's usually worth the burst if your opponent would score the would score the wall break, especially with the hard knockdown. Coming down from a very tricky angle, the Yozan. ZoKHiZ ain't gonna have burst here. If this wall sticks, it's donezo deal. However, it does not, and Far Slash will get beaten by Tenzin. 100 meter again. Easy trivial bait here. ZoKHiZ not only taking the round, but taking all of the relevant resources that move between the rounds from the opponent. Raven, no bursts to be used in this round. Ooh, it would be so great to have it right now from that close slash counter hit. But alas, we have to go through the wall and then some. Might not get any burst out this round. Classic bait the opponent's burst and then just cleave them down really fast. This kind of stuff doesn't happen very often in Guilty Gear Strive because you get so much burst meter back by getting broken through the wall, like being the one who is on the receiving end. Like one sequence through the wall, especially for characters that don't like deal million damage for 3 hits. Yeah, it's very common that you're just gonna get your burst back, but ZoKHiZ making good fast work of Raven there. 2 touch basically was enough to completely deny the burst. Classic Guilty Gear stuff. Warms my heart. Ooh, that was crouchable under, right? Now starting with a parry. Into Far Slash. I wonder if there's something extra that you can get there with the use of tether. I think usually like you should probably know most of your improved tether combos because you are the character who will be attaching that string. Yep, speaking of the string, ZoKHiZ attaches. Escabari plus frames. Not only that, but having that momentum and physics altering tool pulling the opponent back at you, or more importantly, having yourself pulled on the opponent when you like do stuff like air backdash. Very nice feature. Nice, finds the low. BlackRaven once again bursting out of the potential warp break situation. Ooh, misses the throw just by a little. That's gonna be a punish for ZoKHiZ on the landing. The jump slash game is impeccable. Not only do you have the classic backwards jump tatami, in this game especially, because in Guilty Gear Strive, the jump slash is such a huge air cleaving tool. You can just, instead of using the tatami, just use the jump slash instead. Move like instant air dash backwards, jump slash, back jump slash. All of those are really good at defending your airspace and reach really far. Very hard for the opponent to reach. From full screen, Raven has been really good at going like sort of over ZoKHiZ's like downwards reaching tatamis for the most part. And we're gonna be breaking here, right? The tether doesn't screw up the combo. No, it doesn't. Okay. I was doubting there for a moment because I've seen some funky reversal supers not breaking the wall for Baiken, and I've always been wondering like why is that? Why does that happen? I thought we were so close to the wall to begin with. Nice knife. Once again, ooh, and the patience to wait to block just long enough so that the opponent can hang themselves. To the other side, coming down with the jump slash, or jump heavy, sorry. Oh, that's gonna be plus for Raven. And enough delay there to frame tap into the 2 slash, immediately burst for ZoKHiZ. And should be a kill. Yep. Set point ZoKHiZ. First one of the kind. Is it gonna be over right here? Or is there still battle to be had from the side of Raven? Has the old man already surpassed some of these young whippersnappers? Or are the youngsters still gonna fight back? Who's gonna win? Zoomers or boomers? Oh, look at the angle! That's gonna be a big one. Squid to the other side. ZoKHiZ is awake though. Doesn't let BlackRaven run away with that for free. But this should be a kill, right? No! Okay, resetting into the happy little accident. We still have a true high-low mix-up to go with. And looks like Raven is still gonna live to fight another day, but we have to fight through at least 3 to come home alive. Ooh, crouch, force crouch under that Yozan. That definitely requires a little bit of a whatchamacallit, an attentive eye to be able to see when the Yozan can't reach you on the ground like that. A big hit? Perhaps? No, it's actually ZoKHiZ who had... Yeah, Raven was hunting for the burst there, for that wire, with that RC, right? But ZoKHiZ once again, being smart with the experience, knowing that the burst baits are gonna come usually at the start of the combo rather than at the end. Nice anti-air with the Hiragi, and commits into the throw though. I swear, the throw is the hardest to get at the end of the rounds. At the end of the rounds, your opponents are gonna be backdashing, fuzzy jumping, up backing so much more than at the start of the round. I swear on me mom. 6p. However, missed the follow-up there. And ZoKHiZ this time beats the fireball function, which is the heavy kabari, with a well-placed instant air dash forward. Attach another one. Counter hit. And that once again, you know what time it is. It is the S word. The set point position. Yeah, that's gonna hit close enough to the ground to be plus for Raven. And that's the S cover, more plus frames. And then we're gonna go with. Raven was a little too high there, committed to the jump launch. So that wasn't able to get the punish on the red parry, unfortunately. Good block there, and because no 50 meter, that's actually gonna be a punish. ZoKHiZ flipping the position around. That's a counter hit, that actually works. Same situation, but Raven got counter hit there, where ZoKHiZ did not. Cleave it, boy. Cleave it high in the air. Plus frames, ZoKHiZ supers. Did Raven hit it? Oh, he did not. And ready to push the Barry post super. We're alive, baby. 2 more. 2 more for the birthday boy to triumph over the old man. But you have to take the facts as they are. ZoKHiZ still has the advantage. 1 is easier to achieve than 2. Easy math. Even QK knows this. But likely a good spot to take a little bit of a breather here, for every match could be the last. When you are inside the game, there is no slowing down. Even the like sort of whatchamacallit, the damn, aphasia. Hello. Language? Even the round transitions can be cancelled by your opponent if they're mashing buttons, so there's like rarely time to take any sort of a breather if your opponent wants to go. So this might be potentially one of the last moments to first off, put the opponent on ice, if that's what you want to try to do. Ooh, that was a deep, crisp dash in and a 6p. The jumpy doesn't have a whole lot of attack level, so not the most plus frames there on the landing. Ooh, again 6p goes under the kabari. Even if Raven was a little late there, the low profile should take care of most of your troubles. Into close slash. Ooh, baits out the red parry. And looks like it's a little late. No, it's perfectly on the spot. Timing, absolutely perfect. And the round also mostly perfect. I think ZoKHiZ got like a straight hit in there. To the other side, the drive-by Yozan. I haven't seen ZoKHiZ playing too many of those, but those are the absolute classics of Baiken repertoire. Just force your opponent to take the vacuum plus frames. To the other side. Ooh, no anti-air for the opponent. Got them with the jump slash, and this time ZoKHiZ gets the successful BNB combo right. Could Kiraki here. Yep, indeed we do. And the S... I bit my tongue. F point position. Fuck. Bounty Hunter is real deal. So exciting, you bite your own tongue. Shit. Oh, to the other side. Ooh, was probably waiting for a burst there. Yo, Raven is going places, back and forth. Finally, the burst comes out for ZoKHiZ. At a very opportune time as well, was able to keep the opponent in the corner. However, here's the counter. Ooh, be really careful with that. If that yaws and whips, very dangerous on landing. And now ZoKHiZ on the hunt like a shark. Smells blood in the water. But as I say, when we close to our last points of hit points, we tend to try to escape that throw. And once again, the throw is the Achilles heel that spells doom for ZoKHiZ's game plan. 6 games each. No take-backsies after this. The winner of this will be crowned the best Finnish Baiken player or something like that. Yeah. Best Finnish Baiken on Bounty Hunters. Yeah. I think that sounds reasonable. Ooh, that super actually whiffed there. And now we can attach the Kabari. Go for another one. This time we steal the corner. Okay. A lot of things happened. I think Raven was still plus there. Plus 4, to be precise. Or something like, or plus 2. I forgot what the gold burst is actually on block. Ooh, that's gonna whiff completely. But Raven is a little too high up in the air. Still, will not be actually enough. So ZoKHiZ will get another S point before Raven does. Technically, 1 round away from getting his first set point as well. But we need to get that round win. And ZoKHiZ looks like he's mauling, has the meter, plus frames. Ooh, did you jump? You're gonna get ping pong comboed into the corner. Counter hit. ZoKHiZ doesn't even need to paints the burst. Absolute mauling sequence at the end. Committed to the yaws, and again, it rings as a counter. It means you don't need to have the RC. And it's been hitting as a counter hit for ZoKHiZ so often that ZoKHiZ probably was like, all right, let's do it. Let's freaking do it. If it hits, it's over. And it's been hitting so much that why should it not hit? For what purpose would it not hit? But that was way more even than I initially thought. Perfect crossroads. As we were talking about, perfect timing in this Guilty Gear Universal Continuum to match these players against one another. For who knows how more advanced ZoKHiZ is gonna be next week. Maybe next week ZoK's just gonna be completely outside of Raven's reach. Who knows? Who knows how these, old school players develop? They tend to develop very fast after all. Right, but to finish the show, we got a double Jacko versus Bridget matchup on the menu next. Out of which first will be Munch versus Talla. So two characters that definitely share certain kind of similarities. You got long-range powerhouses, strong fireballs, especially for Jacko. I mean, Bridget also has a very strategical long-range fireball, which, can be technically used only once in a while. Bridget usually tends to control the neutral with her far-reaching normals, such as the 5 heavy. Now, problem is, if you want to utilize Bridget range, it's possible for, usually other characters won't be able to challenge you outside of that 5 heavy range very often, but Jacko can actually play full screen. Even if you're like completely outside of that 2 heavy, you're technically still in a range where you could kick those minions at your opponent at very high velocities as well, and just completely dominate the neutral like that. Once the opponent is knocked down, Bridget tends to be a little bit more set play oriented, a little bit more mix-up oriented, whereas Jacko is all about that sustained pressure. And instead of just delivering mix-ups, you kinda hang in there and wait for the opponent to hang themselves, right? Because in Guilty Gear games, eventually you will have to try to escape. That's the natural order of things. And the longer you wait, the more your risk gauge will be cranked, and the more the next hit is gonna hurt. So like it's out of the question to just hang in there, even if there is no mix-up in necessarily the Jacko pressure sequences. You have to escape. Eventually, you have to escape. Because like the pressure is not gonna be over very fast either. If you just chill there and try to wait for her resources to run out, such as the minion command, she can activate one of her install supers. It doesn't even have to be necessarily the red one. You can activate the blue one as well, and that's gonna give you the necessary regen rate for your minion gauge to just persist forever and forever and ever. Alright, Munch, Talla. First Jacko versus Bridget matchup of the evening. Gonna follow this up with another one that is just as high level as this one. So these are 2 back-to-back, relatively semi-high level, advanced skill level matchups of Jacko versus Bridget.
Jacko versus Bridget. Duel 1.
And I think my intuition tells me that Bridget probably wants to be the one that goes in a little bit more aggressive, because like we said, Jacko can play further range than her, technically. Ooh, trying to reach for the throw! Reach for the stars! Or the cookie jar! And you're gonna get put through the wall. With the throw, that should be enough. Yep, positive bonus, 10% extra damage, as well as the potential OTG proposition there afterwards. Now the minions have been put in motion. Ooh, there we go. That's gonna be a super important tool. What we talked about with Bridget and her only whatchamacallit projectile. That aggressive yo-yo toss can, one of the few tools that can put an end to, Jacko's sort of plans to amass critical mass of enemies, or can catch her in the act of trying to send those minions at you. But once it's used, it's gonna be there for a while, and it can't be used for a while anymore. I mean, there are some meter options, such as the Roger Super, that can basically achieve the same, and then some, compared to the yo-yo toss. Alright, Munch takes it back. Just as fast as Talla was able to claim the first one. Ooh, there's a 5 heavy big counter hit, catching Munch trying to dash forward on round start. Was that a dash and not a 2D? Very peculiar. 2K2D, we set it up. Of course, Bridget is a DP character, so we certainly don't have to necessarily hold as much as many other standard characters. I mean, many standard characters have DPs, but, majority of the cast don't necessarily have a reversal out of this pressure. Ooh, tap them with a 5D, and the lower your health draws, the more likely it is that there might actually be a mix-up somewhere in there, usually a 5D. Some of the advantages tapping of that 5D is 20 frame startup, very hard to see, very hard to react to, some say even some like completely impossible. but also you can set up that 5D in ways that there really is no counterplay for the opponent other than just block it correctly. Compared to strike throw mix-ups, there is quite a bit more counterplay to throws than just playing an airtight overhead. But of course, Jacko's rewards from those hits are, you know, they're on the lower side for sure. So generally when you're cashing out, you want to make sure that you're cashing out as big as possible. So for example, you would get a hard knockdown on the wall, but even that can be a little dubious, because like you would prefer to just keep the corner position if you have your goonies up and your pressure is flowing. And get the throw. Ooh, baits the throw, baits the DP, and that's surely gonna be the kill. And that's basically gonna be sort of the tail of the tape. Try to structure your offense so that you don't get clipped by that 9-framer reversal DP from your opponent as much as possible, because I mean, arguably that's probably gonna be one of the go-to tools for Bridget to try to break out of those situations, other than just having a YRC. I mean, YRC is a very expensive tool to use, because like, you use that, you sort of in the follow-up sequence, you are lacking the RC resources that you would probably need to go on a full offensive.
Mankind knew that they cannot change.
So you would much rather, you know, break out of that pressure with your meterless tools if possible. Ooh, the kickstart break didn't actually reach there. Munch took and held the minion and run back far enough to make it whiff. Frame trap into the soccer kick. Claims decent amount of real estate for Munch here. Forcing the sandwich and activating the blue. Here we go. And if you look at the minion gauge, it's actually recovering at a slightly increased speed, even while that blue is active, which is a really nice feature of it. Even though the red is usually considered the madness gauge builder for minion stuff. Oh, that was so tricky. Let down the minion, go for the throw. Minion's left it behind, but perfect position to go for the attack command and a big 2D counter hit. With the RC, is that gonna be enough? Not quite. Guts coming into play. Talla trying to swing with the 5 heavies, dropping the minion just like that. Munch. Wait, did I? Is this really the third point for Munch? It felt like a really fast game here. Did I put a point in Munch's account prematurely?
So instead of reflecting on themselves,
Chat, help me. Is it 3-0?
heaven or hell. Duel 1. Let's rock.
I'm gonna assume that I've counted the points correctly. For now. I mean, the players are gonna know the score because they can see it all the time in their interface. So worst case scenario, players will know. Alright, YRC, get me out of this sandwich situation. Kickstart break, just outside of the range, so there was no poking out of that for Munch. Oh, that was very interesting, and that was a very nice response there. Using that 5 heavy, when the Jacko player is running away with that minion in hand, basically your go-to option is to chase, or use normal that reaches, or any button that reaches far enough away. Nice. Speaking of chasing the opponent after the minus frames out of the Roger dive, you would think that the opponent is gonna backdash. Ergo, dash forward, 2D, chase them, get a big counter hit, and go from there. Okay. DP. It's a little bit of real estate for Talla, but still fighting basically for her life to get out of this corner situation. Gambling on the DP once again. Ooh, the counter 2D. But because of that RC, Munch wasn't quite able to build into that 50, which would have been a final nail on the coffin Talla is so low on resources. That's kind of a shame. Because a lot of the time, the like kickstart shoot RC is especially one of the go-to tools for Bridget to try to skip the neutral. And if you don't have that, you're kinda have to play honest against a lot of the opponent's neutral, right? Jump D, tagging Talla out of the air approach. Ooh, was able to get the minion command. And now, is it a kill? No, disengages from the situation. This is still a really fucked up situation for Talla. YRC had to happen, but even with that YRC, wasn't able to get out of there. It was like when you have that little life to spend and Jacko has all the goons ready to go, it's like you have to do something immediately. Beat like a DP, YRC, burst, deflect shield. I'm not sure if deflect shield is even like super good against Jacko per se. Especially if the goons are in position, because then any attack command that you would use will put the opponent still in block stun. And I believe deflect shield does not affect minions at all. It will just push back the main body, the Jacko herself. Tap them with the 5D, immediate burst. Ooh, that 2K is good, however, wasn't able to stagger into 2K that time. It's very high with that shoot. So make sure with that use of RC, we'll have the plus frames coming down. However, Munch out of there with a huge crowd of minions. They're all gone for now, but we can always generate more. Usually requires either you spend a wild assault so that you can guarantee at least the minion set, or you try to bluff the opponent, take out the minion, plant them during your pressure. I mean, you could use RC as well, but usually you want to save the meter for something more pressing. Ooh, that was crisp. Knew the right option for the cross-up. 6B. Reversal super, though. I think Talla is not respecting her. I thought she was. Trying to get the sandwich here. Unfortunately, won't be able to get the minion behind Talla that time. All right, leave the minion here. Wait for the burst. Clean job. Munch. Marching forward 5-0 or 4-0. Either one of those. Not sure, but fact of the matter is Munch has really massive snowball going on here.
Mankind knew that they cannot change society. So
now, what is the adjustment? It's a lot of the rounds have been so Munch advantageous. It's kind of like you manage to set up the sandwich, and the rest is usually history with Munch. He's so good at just sticking there and being able to blender the opponent from full to zero. The burst has been one of the only saving graces for Talla. Even though Talla has had a couple of good like DPs out of there, I think Munch has baited just enough, like as many DPs as Talla has been able to use to get out of that pressure as well. And if you get put in that situation right from the get-go, like this, it's like you can't build meter. Like Talla, feels like Talla doesn't have the time to build the meter to defend against this onslaught of everything. See, that doesn't even have the first 25 yet. This is a lot of stuff that you have to take. The burst, sorry, the DP kind of works out, takes out a couple of minions. Or wait, no, you can't, you can't, because they were on blue, right? Right, out of the corner. Premium time to mix it up. Ooh, leaves it a little tight there, or a little loose there, but in the follow-up situation, able to get out. The DP is baited. We still have the burst. Activate, what was it? Blue? It's interesting, in some situations you can actually kill the blue minions, it looks like. Such as, like, the Roger Super actually destroyed one of the minions there, even though they had the blue mask. So I'm actually a little perplexed, like, what are the rules for the minions perishing and when can they not? frame trap into the soccer kick, into the sandwich. We are in the victory condition. We have minions behind as well. Expires just when Munch wanted to take advantage. Are you kidding me? The 2D anti-air against the rolling movement. That move is already so good. I mean, I guess it's like you would have to press a good button out of the rolling movement if you wanted to tag that. God, Munch is just relentless, absolutely brutal. It's kind of like when you have only that yo-yo toss that is like kind of your big playmaker. When you have that available only once, and if you don't get a whole lot of stuff done with it, it's kind of like the yo-yo toss kind of has to take care of the minions if Jacko gets like a quotation critical mass at neutral. Oh my god, and the 2D again. Oh, here comes the YOLO commit with kickstart. Able to get Munch in the corner, but so fast at building that army of minions. Even on the 2K, Talla just facing another counter pull. 2K against 2K. Through the wall we go, hard knockdown, and once again looking at that almost desperate situation. YRC, oh my god, it just nullifies the YRC immediately. Frame trap into the soccer kick. I reckon that Talla has been trying to DP those soccer kicks because that's the privilege of many DP characters. If it's like there's no way to catch it. If you're inputting it perfectly, the DP will come out or it will be airtight. There is no other option, right? Of just basic non-metered pressure. Right? Ooh, the blue RC. Talla must have. I'm not sure. 5 heavy. Ooh, the Aatreus! The extended active frames. Munch didn't end up doing anything that time. Now, big opportunity for Talla. Deflect shield. Pushes her away. Perfect timing there. I thought the 5 heavy would collide with the minion parry. But no, we're gonna go through the wall to an even situation in a way. Positive bonus is definitely on Talla's side, but both players are basically looking for that one more hit. If it's single minion touches, it's not gonna count though. Use the 6K, destroy them with the butt. To the other side! Oh, but still gets thrown! No way! No way, the hesitation there. I think... that's so painful. It felt like it was Talla's situation to play, but alas, it might have been that Talla pressed the button and it was just not fast enough, and the reversal throw would come out faster still. It's fighting games though. The timing is everything. Do you go for it? Do you go for stuff frame 1 as soon as you come out of recovery? Or do you leave a little bit of delay? But man, Munch with really strong performance here in this matchup, setting sort of an expectation for the next matchup, which is gonna be the last matchup of the evening. We're gonna play the same one, but with slightly more famous bounty hunters here. Decoy Snail and Whammel. And especially Decoy has been with us since basically since the DLC release of Jacko. Always committed on that same character. One of the premium Jacko yappers around. And definitely knows so much of just the theoretical knowledge when it comes to this character. Now, Whammel though. Whammel is a player that I would definitely have liked to see a little bit more, especially since there's such a huge gap between when Whammel was around at the stage where she was just about to break from intermediate to advanced. There's been such a long time since that Whammel actually is, I think, really, really heavily on the advanced side of things now. So much so that it might be surprising when we see Whammel today, if you compare it to some of her previous Bounty Hunters games, it's like it'll be so much better, right? Wait, I'm not wrong in saying that there's been such a long while since we saw Whammel, right? I'm not crazy, am I? Let me check. Where's the last time we saw Whammel on BH? Yeah, it's been a while. Yeah, okay. My intuition is correct. Last time we saw Whammel was literally a year ago. Okay, I'm not crazy. I am not crazy. It's been such a long time. So Whammel has had so much time to develop as a player. And if you've been sort of following her progress in other shows, other double elimination brackets, you would know that this player is kind of cracked. Now, this matchup is preset between the two players here. They agreed to play. Joint Bounty Hunters said, put me up against Whammel, put me up against Decoy, Chief, and we'll play from there. And now, we'll see what's gonna happen. I mean, going into this matchup after the previous one, I would have to be like, okay, so it kind of seems like Jacko has good things going on for her in this matchup. But will Whammel be able to put a new spin on this matchup that we didn't see in the previous matchup? Or is it gonna be more of the same? It's been a while since we've seen Decoy as well, though. If I remember correctly, pull out my data sheet. Yeah, it's been quite a few months. We saw Decoy previously February, at the very start of February, so it's been like a good 3 months so far. Oh, I see. So there were some problems with the players not being able to see each other. We good now? Okay, all good now. So ready to jump in. Another Jacko versus Bridget coming at your way. Super high level gameplay. Don't get much higher than this if you're... Yeah, I'm having difficulties like naming players who are, you know, higher level than these guys out of the top of my head. There really aren't that many like super high level Jacko players to begin with in Europe. And Bridget is a popular character, but I think because she is not a meta character per se, the absolute top heavy hitters would probably drop her if they want to just farm the victories. Pick top tier, as Wise Man once said. If you're a tournament player, if you travel to every single event and you're trying to extract the W at any means necessary, you probably don't play either of these characters, right? Because they're just not meta, right? But it doesn't matter, of course, in casual play or like semi-casual competitive play. If you have affinity with the character, you will play that character, period. Always play the character that inspires you to play more. Otherwise, you're not gonna advance. You're not gonna get better. I definitely see more activity on the Whammel side on trying to preemptively destroy the minions as they're coming in. That 2P, for instance, we didn't see that much previously. In the corner pressure was probably expecting for the DP to come out, so was leaving a little bit of a gap there in the pressure. 6P works out. RC makes sure that we're going to go into the wall. Committed to the throw. No response on the Whammel side. Tap the 5D. Not gonna be enough. Commits to the DP. Might as well, because you have so little health that there is, like, if you block something from decoy at that point, there is no coming back from that block stun. Probably. So might as well commit to the DP if you don't have, like, YRC or deflect shield ready to go. And even if you do, probably the DP is still the most effective way to try to get your game started. Right, first one goes to decoy, but seeing a lot of active play from Whammel. We got the whiff punish with the 5 heavy. That is definitely something that you can do. You are still a character that has abnormally long range. And look at that, poking into the minion, effectively extending your active frames, which ended up making decoy extend herself into the button. Yeah, look at that. Just matching button for minion. And if you're destroying those minions coming in, YRC, ooh, but the distance was too great. So Whammel wasn't able to put out any buttons that could take advantage of the plus frames successfully. 6P once again destroys the incoming minion. That's probably gonna be the tail. Ooh! I think that was outside of the screen, but I betcha that was a too heavy. It looked like a too heavy extending into the skies. One of the best anti-airs in the game if you are at that, you know, in that vertical anti-air range. I mean, the horizontal range is kind of great as well, considering how great the vertical reach is as well. And then the patience. If you actually are in the situation where you couldn't safely poke at the minions, then you kind of just accept the fact that it happened. I might have to wait for a couple of attack commands from Jacko, because like Jacko can extend the pressure string as long as she has that minion gauge that you can see above her tension bar. And every single command, I believe, extends like 1 bar of the gauge. It does recover relatively fast, sort of ish. I guess it recovers faster if you have the gray background. So there's a little bit of math going into it that I don't even. Ooh, fix the burst, and now close slash starter. It's actually a decent and big combo. Chooses to not take the wall break though, even though she did have the meter to break with heart knockdown. This is how much. Oh, it was almost perfect math. But alas, Whammel is gonna get a turn here. Got them with the 2S. Got them again with the 2S. They do say that 6Ps or other, you know, super low profiling pokes are strong against Bridget. But you know what Bridget says? Lol, 2S Lamau. I mean, it's usually not the button that Bridget would like to press on layer 1 necessarily, but it is a button that Bridget will have to press. Gonna be slightly less important, I believe, in this matchup, where the RPS is gonna be more on the full screen distance, where you're trying to snipe minions, where you're trying to throw yo-yos, where you're trying to, you know, it's first and foremost gonna be full distance, and then maybe then it's gonna devolve into the close mid-range footsies. Speaking of the footsies there, Whammel, ooh, the F-Shiki! Able to hit confirm it as well. Straight into the corner, even if we don't get the wall break, it's secondary as long as you can put the opponent in this situation. YRC, I think I saw the tap 5D coming out there, and here it comes again. The first tap was, you know, Whammel was able to save herself with the use of YRC, but the second one started with a 2P, little tap, but look at like full range Bridget 2P. What do you confirm that into actually? I don't think I've seen a 2P confirm into much very often. Ooh, that's a great instant air dash. You could consider that 2D as a projectile function of sorts, after all. If you really wanna. Welcome to Guilty Gear or fighting game analysis with QK, where everything is a fireball function. Right. Unsummoned minions, recover a little bit of gauge, and then plant the tree. It's gonna be super close to a kill. Not quite though. Whammel, with some defensive measures, drifts forward and then gets the throw. If only Whammel could lock Snail into the mix-up position. But I think both Bridget players tonight have had the difficulties of, if they get the hits, they get the hits in such a manner that the opponent is very far and it's a little hard to convert into your like go-to blender situations. Especially, I think part of it is because you like to use the aggressive yo-yo toss a lot in order to try to negate the minions from Jacko and to play the neutral. If it's already set, then it might be hard if you get a stray hit into a KD. It might not come back to you at the right timing to set it for the Okizeme, right? Ooh, nice. RPS dashing. It actually gets almost a full screen corner carry. However, look at that. The upwards aligned rolling movement completely nuked by the 2S of Jacko. Great anti-air move that is like shares some similarities with flash kicks, whereas you don't really have to choose which direction it goes. It just goes upwards and anti-airs everything left or right. A little bit counter hit started off. This is gonna be a lot of corner carry and a sandwich for Decoy. And we have that 50-meter deflect shield out of there. Okay, that works. That works for sure. I will happily pay that deflect shield if that's what the reward is gonna be. We're not out of there yet. Misses the snipe on the minion. Maybe with the rolling movement! Gets to the air for one of the Roger dive! Are you freaking kidding me? The YRC just barely able to hit while Deco was holding onto that minion and trying to run away. 2S misses. The Decoy is adjusting to that RPS as well. Knows that the 2S is one of those buttons that Bridget would like to press to occupy the ground. It is a very active button after all. It's also like we were talking about going under the opponent's low profile pokes, but it serves as another really important tool to check Jacko to the, I believe. It's one of the most active frame moves that you can put out on the stage to prevent Jacko from doing that 2D, which is, you can see, you know how it works. You know how much Jacko players love that button. It gets party started. So you kind of want to have some sort of a counter strategy to maybe fish with something. 2S once again. Whammel has been starting to get more and more value out of that 2S as the set has progressed here. But now, Decoy taking it into mid-screen, recalls the minions. Pulling movement is available, and times it really nicely. Ooh, this break I think won't be able to recover in time, and that's a kill! Because this super is surprisingly damaging. Even after the nerfs of Season 4. Frame trap into the soccer kick. There's a lot of stuff like, even though you are playing against the DP characters, nice minion parry. Whammel working really hard so that Decoy won't be able to set up the sandwich that she desires so much. Wild Assault set up the yo-yo. Finally getting some mix-ups in. This is exactly it. This is the one place that we want to be as Bridget. Whammel has been working so hard to get into this position, and you bet your ass, you bet your 6 heavy that she doesn't want to let this go. And she does not. This is the Bridget gameplay that we need to get to. And my god, it's been like 4 games, and Whammel has tried so hard, gets in there once, and it works out like a dream. Right, but through the wall we go. Decoy doesn't seem too phased about what just persisted, or what just happened earlier. But straight into the far slash of Bridget's. Oh my god, you would react to that. And then the cross-up. Was that left? Was that right? I don't know. But what I know is that this set seems to be progressing along the same lines as the previous one. Is this an actual difficult matchup for Bridget then? I think we've talked about this earlier, because we've had this matchup on Bounty Hunters before. I think we've talked about this earlier in previous episodes. But, you know, maybe I'm feigning ignorance. Maybe I'm giving it a benefit of the doubt. Maybe it's not Jacko favorite, but maybe it is. Here comes the reversal. I think Whammel was waiting for it, right? Yep. Big punish, close slash. Let's see what we can get. Maybe, okay. A little bit of back and forth. Doesn't matter if we switch sides, because we're gonna switch it again. And basically the sequence denying all resource gains to Decoy. Decoy was so low in tension at the start of that she wasn't able to build even up to that 50 after that long ass combo. Ooh, nice jumpy, destroying one of the minions in the air. But you gotta be careful if you're aiming to snipe one of them, only one of them. You could face potentially the wrath of the other of the pack, especially if Jacko is ready to activate the attack command. Ooh, clean throw. There was nothing Whammel could have done there. She was in a recovery box, recovery frames. Now this is starting to look a little dangerous here. Whammel absolutely needs this. Lest Decoy Snail is gonna go to that 6 points, and we know how important that is in FT7s. Sends the yo-yo upwards this time. Unable to get much value out of it. Meanwhile, Decoy dancing back and forth, even though you do give away a little bit of real estate, putting that first Jacko minion on board to get that out and to be able to pressure after that, so important. So you do anything in your power to be able to produce the first one. Takes it out. It has been set behind the opponent as well. Yep, gold burst. Make sure that the sandwich doesn't happen. But now what are we gonna do? Oh, self-explosion. Luckily, Decoy was blocking that. Oh, the 2P. I think I saw Rock the Baby there. And the 2P just completely demolishes it. It's if that was RTB, I mean it's a very slow command grab, so technically anything will beat it. But like combined with the rest of Bridget's kits, it can be hard to deal with because Bridget has it can be used from a lot of different angles, such as like airborne, and like tools like that are a mental stack kind of tool, right? But at the moment, it doesn't seem like there's any kind of mental stack at all for Decoy. The only thing that Decoy is thinking about is, oh, there we go, the RTP finds a hit. But then, let's deal with the YRC. Good 6P, back into the corner you go. And now Deflect Shield is the only defensive option, which, mind you, Decoy Snail might not want to utilize here. Get thrown into, set up the yo-yo. Yep, there it goes. It was a risk. It was basically the last thing that you could have done to defend yourself against that situation. But now, we're gonna suffer the consequences and go to potentially the next round without any of those burst resources. Although this is a Guilty Gear Strive and you're building those resources fairly fast, and because Bridget, oh, nice jump out of the throw. Because Bridget is a very low damage character, you can expect to, you know, get the burst back pretty fast before you are in lethal damage range, right? We're mixing. That was a lot of hits in a small amount of time when you unleash the main body and the minion commands in conjunction. Okay, activating blue. It's keeping the minion alive, even despite that yo-yo toss of Whammel's. Expired. Is it gonna be enough? Anything on block? Jumpy. Unfortunately, super hard to hit confirm into anything. Ooh, canceling off hitting the minion into Roger Dive. Not quite it. Wave punishes jump D. Beats the 5 heavy was that. Oh my goodness. First set point position, decoy snail. Please. Team Bridget needs this desperately. How do we get out of there? DP is so dangerous. We can't, right? You can't. Deflect shield, please. Builds a little bit of distance. Okay, gets decoy snail to jump. However, decoy is so ready to anti-air herself. Into the corner you go. In fact, yeah, even better. Not through the glass, but it's over. A fateful judo chop to the face. Check this out. Ugh. Both Bridget players going down 7-0. What a matchup. It seems like, you know, I don't know anything about this matchup, but to my lay person's eyes, it looks like this is kind of hard to play. I ain't gonna lie. And it's kind of like Jacko is both of these characters are very specialized. There are many characters that kind of eat Jacko for lunch as well as eat Bridget for lunch. Like they definitely have vulnerable spots, and you might come across that matchup where you're just the other character that just does kind of similar things, but you just do them a little bit better. I feel like it's the same kind of conundrum going back to the theory that I know the best. Like, for example, Sin versus Nagoriyuki. When you take two very similar kind of characters like that, but you have one of the characters doing the things that you just do in that matchup slightly better, even if it's like 5% better, it matters a lot. I feel like I'm getting same kind of vibes here for Jacko versus Bridget. When you do a lot of similar kind of ranges, a lot of similar kind of things, but one of the characters just does it a little bit better. When Jacko especially starts her game plan just a little bit better from that full screen distance where Bridget can't really reach, it makes a lot of difference. But yeah, I feel like we learned quite a bit about this matchup tonight, for better or worse. I actually, before we end this, I want to cross-reference all the matches that we've had on Bounty Hunters. I want to try to look. Let's see, what's the easiest way to do this? I kind of want to just see Jacko versus Bridget matches. God, we've had a lot of Jacko matches as of recent. Alright, bear with me. I should probably do this off stream. I guess, like... yeah, that's one. Yeah, Decoy versus Elysium was the same case. That ended up 7-1 in Decoy's favor. What else? I think we've at least had one more. Maybe not. Oh, I didn't even notice this. Decoy and Whammel have played before at the start of 2024. And back then it was really even. But now, god damn it, now it was certainly not. We should maybe do a little bit of more background checking before. Yeah, I think that's most of our... yeah, actually, Decoy and Whammel have played several times, but it's always gone in Jacko favor. God, there's so many Decoy versus Whammel matches. But I mean, there's not a single Jacko versus Bridget matchup on Bounty Hunters that has gone in the favor of Bridget player. Is that right? Can that be right? I guess we'll just have to accept it. It is what it is. Okay, but that would mark the ending of our show for today. Thank you so much for being part of making of these matches, whether you were a player, a stream monster, or just a guy engaging with the community. Always fun. Let's see where we could go from here. It is before 6 p.m. Sorry, 9 p.m. Finish time. God, I'm already spent. Okay. How do I use this raid interface? I've never used this before. I've actually just used manually browsed the category and checked like who would I raid. Wait, this is so weird. Let me just browse the category normally. What is this interface? What is this goddamn interface? Yeah, this is much easier to browse. Well, the French people have an event going on at the moment. Do we have any bounty hunters? Regular streaming? Not really. Yeah, I guess we'll just send you over to ZoKHiZ side because the French people have some sort of event going on at the moment. But yeah, thank you so much for watching. Same stuff is gonna happen next week as well. We're actually drawing very close to event number 200. Is that is that a secret number? Is that an interesting number of some sort? Maybe. I don't know. But yeah, we'll see you again next Sunday, 5 p.m. CET. If you want to play, join the Discord. You know the deal. The sign-up forms are gonna go down in just a moment. Otherwise, I'll bid you farewell. See you next Sunday. Bye-bye.